when you're looking into TikTok, TikTok's looking straight back into you.
Dude, envy is the fuel for social media and it acts out in different ways, right?
Time spent in China on short video is 2.5 hours a day.
We weren't ever programmed to go through so much. Either happiness or sadness. So much.
Are you in a relationship then, man?
Why all of you so interested in my dating life? It's fascinating to me.
So we're talking about people pissing on the plane. What do you think about it? Is it something that should be encouraged, discouraged?
Why do you think? Like what's in it?
My first thought was somebody was pissed drunk.
Of course.
I did not
know where the bathroom was.
Yeah.
You just want
That's what I
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
But
I mean, unless you're a major attention seeker, there's no other explanation.
I've gotten away with not pissing on people. I took
And it only happened on
yeah, why is that?
It's funny.
I mean, it's happened. It doesn't happen. It happened once.
It happened twice.
Yeah.
What happened twice?
Yeah, it happened twice.
Do you think it could also be because there is one loo and it's a long haul flight and people are not able to wait?
I don't think it's that.
No?
I don't think it's that.
think
Is it not? I think if it was that, piss yourself, right? You don't piss on somebody.
Yeah.
And you're also intoxicated for some reason at that point. So it's a culmination of everything together.
I was on that flight, the brand which we will not name otherwise. I was sitting on that flight, and usually I sleep on flights, but I was awake, okay? And I was sitting with a comedian friend of mine. And then anytime someone would get up, would be like, hey. Oh, thank for you. Anyway. Why? Is that the topic of discussion?
Yeah, but why is it happening only in the business section and not in the economy section?
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting observation. Yeah, that's right.
Because rich people are a little entitled.
Yeah, I think rich people are entitled, but it challenges your argument on the ratio, right? Because there are lesser number of people and there are more number of loos there, right? In terms of in the business section. It's not that. It's not the long haul flight.
Business में मुद्दू ज़्यादा fun to pay on economy passengers. Business वाले पे मजा ही आता है.
But I read that guy's defense, or he said that he did not actually do it and stuff like that. So I think there are like two sides to the story too.
Like all things that we read on the news and social media.
Yeah.
There's always two sides.
I think people are so disenfranchised by media per se overall that the go-to emotion of late is becoming whatever is coming on TV is probably false. I don't know if you guys feel that, but
It's either biased or false.
yeah.
These are the two main emotions.
Agenda driven. Something. I think, the problem, I remember when I made an observation during IB, which is we went from people being able to comment on something to the comments getting likes, right? Similarly on Twitter, we went from quote RTing something. Early days of Twitter, there was no retweet button. And there was a quote RT. You would copy someone's tweet and you would put RT in front of it and you would paste the tweet. But the second they added retweets, and the second Facebook added likes to comments, that changed the game because all of a sudden, likes were everyone's game, not just the person who's posting.
Why do you think that is? Why do we feel so happy when we get acknowledgement or somebody likes something that we have posted from a psychological standpoint? I think that's inherently the use case of social media today, right?
So if you think about it, it's all designed around the human brain, right? And if you think about, when we get into the details of social media, but it's built on, one, a lot of insight about you, two, a lot of insight about your likes and dislikes and your network, right? Even before you follow one person or friend someone or follow a source, what 99% or 90% plus at least of people on social media do is give the platform access to their phone book. And what that does is the platform now knows in the billions of people on planet Earth who's friends with whom by making those connections, right? Now, with that naivety, which is where it begins, there comes the gratification, because at the end of the day, man is a social being. And what at least neuroscience has shown is that they love getting acknowledgement, right?
Of course.
And I'll give you a fun experiment, and this is a true story. I walked into a room at the hotel next door, and I met someone. And we were 1,000 of us. Okay, so we entered the room, and we went and sat on tables, right? He's a foreigner. We are 1,000 Indians from north, west, south, east, different names, different pronunciations, different accents in the way we frame our name. But what he did, which was shocking, is he stood up on stage and everyone sat randomly, right? They came in between 8 and 9 p.m. The event started at 9 p.m. He named each person by name. Okay? That's insane.
1,000 people.
1,000 people. Now, let's say you and I meet for the first time, and let's shake hands, and you say, hey, I'm a monk. And you say, hey, I'm Nikhil, right? I didn't even freaking hear Nikhil. Because the human brain we're so much in love with our own voice that I just heard, hey, I'm a monk. And I love the sound of my own voice, right?
And it's a nice voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But the thing is that most of us don't actively listen. We're kind of in our own bubble. And that's the beginning of that dopamine hit. So the fact that if somebody compliments Nikhil, and I'm just speaking on you right now, or says, hey, you have this really charming smile, or that boyish good looks, or hey, Nikhil, you're looking fitter now. Like, what are you doing? What are you up to, right? It's a dopamine hit. So every like, every share, every comment, every action of that nature brings Nikhil back out of this innate human curiosity as to what are people saying about him. If you go back now into the deeper science of it, right? Let's just say social media platform X, and Nikhil is the only person on it, right? Nikhil comes to the platform, spends 10 minutes, right? In whatever form or fashion, maybe 5 times a day with 2 minutes each, or 10 minutes in a day.
Say OnlyFans.
Right? OnlyFans.
Keep doing this.
This is fine.
Oh, this was it, yeah.
So one, the dopamine hit gave Nikhil all the gratification to keep coming back. But hypothetically, if there only existed Nikhil on that platform and he spent 10 minutes, let's say he browsed a feed, right? And let's say the length of the feed, hypothetically, was 10 feet, the size of the stable, right? Let's say this feed is 10 feet long. In 10 minutes, if I take the phone screens that he scrolled, it's about 10 feet. And after every foot, I inserted a sponsored post or an ad, right? And let's say hypothetically I made $1 on the ad. So I made $10 because Nikhil came back maybe 5 times a day and spent 2 minutes, totaling 10 minutes.
How did this guy do this?
How did which guy do this?
The guy who said everybody's names.
So the way that's a different topic. I'll just finish this point, right? So essentially you got the dopamine hit with all the likes, etc. The platform loved it because you came back and spent 10 minutes and the platform made $10. Now imagine if 1 billion Nikhils came in and spent 10 minutes, it just made, $1 billion. If 1 billion Nikhils came in and spent 30 minutes, they just made $3 billion. So the platform benefits, right? So it's kind of this vicious cycle of a dopamine hit at both ends, one on the platform side, one on Nikhil's side. The fun fact that this gentleman, on how he remembered the names, it was quite amazing, okay? So let's say I have to remember Upper Mayor's name, right? So he could have introduced himself as Upper Mayor.
Nobody remembers me.
Or Upper. or Upper. So let's just say Upper Mayor is a tough one, right? It's not a common name, right? Now, if I'm just hearing the sound of my voice, screw Upper Mayor, I'm only hearing a monk, right? But what he said is he forgets himself saying I'm Nikhil or I'm a monk. He just listens to Upper Mayor. And then what he does visually is he breaks up that word into something he can remember, right? So for me, if I had to break up Upper Mayor, and I'm just doing this on the fly, for me, one of the oldest companies I know was Apar. Okay, there was a very old company. So Apar, the first part of his name I relate with Apar Lighting, let's just say, right? And then Mia.
He's the mayor of Apar.
He's the mayor of Apar. There you go, right? So every
It's
time
like
I
a
see-
memory
it's like a memory thing, right? And it's about active listening, breaking up the name, making it synonymous with something that you remember, but of course unrelated to social media. But it's a really cool skill. Just try it out next time you go to an event.
No, I've read a couple of stuff around this, like put a visual in your mind
Yes,
because you remember pictures more than words.
Exactly.
Sounded great in theory, but I've never been able to.
But this is a very easy one to do, right? I mean, pick any example and
What would I put with Tanmay?
You've been calling me Tanvi for the last. What is that?
Nimbu pani. Anything that tastes that good can't be good for you. My opinion. Yeah.
That's fair.
No.
The chibi was really good.
I was coming back to your initial question. So,
On social media, you actually have, you've said something, you've said one line, and you got an opportunity to wait for people to like, dislike, comment, blah, everything. So Umang said quite a few things. In the offline world, we're not able to do that. Like, I'm not able to send likes to him.
Sadly.
Right? So saying it online and having a conversation there is a lot more fruitful for me, for the dopamine hit that I will get. Right? And hence, like, even the comments, my comment in the offline world or otherwise was never
captured.
ever, acknowledged. Nobody even said, oh, okay, you said that as a comment to that guy. Now it suddenly got acknowledged. And hence the discussions, everything else, those guys started getting a dopamine hit, and hence
Right.
I think that's the difference.
We're always kind of like in the old days, before we were all hyper connected, we were born in a tribe, right? And all your validation came from your tribe. But since everybody got connected, multiple tribes interact, or we are part of many tribes. So in every comment section, you're trying to find your tribe. On every platform, you're trying to find your tribe. You always want to find people who think like you and like you. So that's the reason why you're always hunting for likes, retweets.
If you had to go one step higher and say, why do humans care so much about validation from whatever peer group, either offline or online? Why do you think we're innately programmed like that?
I think we always want your own tribe for this is it's a primal need for safety, which is knowing that you're part of a group makes you feel safer. That is, I think, the most primal need, which is
I also
feeling
think,
safe.
at a very deep level, man is and I use this word carefully, a selfish being, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, don't be selfish and, selfish all the time.
Self-preservative.
Self-preservate, right?
Yeah.
And so any validation,
I would say more selfish than self-preservatory. Because if you go back in time and there were a bunch of people and you hunted for food, I think you would innately want to be the strongest hunter in that community.
For self-preservation, right? Otherwise, if you can probably die.
you're getting technical on a very non-technical point. But essentially, if you're that selfish being, you want that gratification. You want to be told how good you are. You want that positive side. And when there's that negative onslaught that comes onto you, you don't like it, right? Because social media has both sides. You get the good and the bad, right? And there are also good actors in society, and there are bad actors in society in the physical world. And they manifest themselves in that platform world or the digital world as well. So that's another pedal. And of course, we can go deeper there. But it's crazy.
So first, to kind of figure out why social media was created, since you guys are essentially in this line of work, what did you personally use first, and what existed before that to connect to a community?
Yeah.
So my first ever use of the internet, mid to late 1990s, right? That's when I first started using the dial-up internet. I remember, a friend of mine saying, send me an email. I went to this site called graffiti.net or something like that, and then opened up an email address and then sent him an email. As in, I could talk to him on the phone, but this seemed something new, some cool thing that I could do. Send him an attachment of something, and he could open it there and see. So that itself was very, very cool. And then that got me interested to see what else is there. And then a friend of mine who was browsing with me in the internet cafe he was logging into chat rooms, ICQ and
Yahoo.
Yahoo chat rooms, and yeah.
So was that the need first? Do you think communication led to social media? The
Yeah.
need to communicate?
The need to connect. The interesting part is somebody sitting across the world I could connect with, and it's not part of my friends and family network.
So if we were to assume today's social media is about alleviating insecurities, creating a social ladder, uh, when do you think it changed from connection to what we have today? And why do you think it changed?
So I have a broad philosophy on, each network being for a reason, right? So initially, just connecting with people we know was cool enough. Like Facebook is a friends and family network. And when you post there, you will get positive comments mostly, unless you're a public celebrity like you guys. And of course, Tanmay. So Facebook is a friends and family network, and you will post holiday pictures. I got married. I had a kid.
But why are you posting your holiday pictures? Why do you want other people to see where you're holiday?
It's the quickest way to update a person.
But do you think it's to update somebody or is it to say that in a very subconscious way that I am doing this cool thing which you are not and create some kind of a social hierarchy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
More that, right? It's
Yeah,
not let's all agree that nothing to do with updating.
Update to get back a reaction saying, "Oh, you went on a holiday to Spain. I've never been there. You're cooler than me."
It's offline behavior taken online, right? Offline also people do this. Look at my new dress. Look what I bought. Look at the painting on my wall. It's that, but taken online.
And then you had to go meet them at a wedding or some other place to update all of this and get those reactions.
Is that why people are less social today than they were historically?
Because they've already got the reaction.
The incentive to go to public gatherings or belong to a community is lesser now.
Yeah, it is physically. Yeah, it's a lot lesser. Because you can be part of 15 communities online. You can have 15 different identities online.
That's a very interesting point that you just brought up. And I was reflecting on what made some of the most powerful social media platforms this big, this large, and this powerful, right? So if you talk about the old days, right? I had a Hotmail account, you had whatever.
Yahoo
right?
Mail.
Yahoo Mail and whatever, right?
USA.net.
USA.net. But if you reflect back, I can probably bet, I don't know, I'm tempted to say $1 million that I don't have right now, but I'm tempted to say that you were not Nikhil.Kamath at, right? You were not
I think I was Nikhil 586. Yeah.
right? I was Ubedi O2.
Yeah.
Because O2 was my first smartphone, the O2 ThinkPad, and I was Ubedi O2. And somebody was hot guy, cool gal, right? Then you
Hot guy.
I was Tans_crazy.
there you go. So then you graduated into these messenger rooms where again you further obfuscated your identity. Correct. Okay. So, and he talked about multiple identities. But the interesting fun fact, if I reflect back, the first platform where, Tanmay Bhatt was Tanmay Bhatt and Umang Bedi was Umang Bedi and, Nikhil Kamath was Nikhil Kamath was Facebook. It potentially had real people with real identity. Correct. That's what made it very powerful to bring in real identity data, right? So, and compliments to Mark and the entire team on how they built that out. But to get people to be open to share, because I remember we all went through this phase where we don't want to reveal who we are on the internet, but suddenly we felt comfortable doing it on social media.
Why was that?
It was kind of a,
I think he linked it to colleges first.
So it's
which is a network within your own college. So there was built-in trust that the people on the platform are people on my campus.
yes.
So you could only log in with your .harvard.edu.
Net. Yeah, that's right.
So the use case was to bring your offline network online.
Right. Also, just to digress a little bit, do you think that will be the next revolution in social media where all the fakes are removed and there is...
Elon's trying. He's trying.
So there are open networks, closed networks. Facebook, LinkedIn, all closed networks, right? You have a offline professional network you're replicating online. Is LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram half because you can
But
also
would you
make
say
it
they're
closed.
too permeable right now? So even though it might be a closed network, there are a lot of replicas and fakes and stuff like that. And
No, there on LinkedIn, I will only add past, present, or somebody in the future I want to work.
right.
So there is an intelligence of do I know him from the past or will I know him in the future? But on a Twitter or an Instagram, which are open networks, like even on WhatsApp, you will not find a fake WhatsApp guy. It's all real people that you know, right? So again, a closed network. But on open networks, this is the problem, where anybody can follow anybody. It's a very Twitter and on our platform, Koo, right? Anybody can follow anybody. Now they're curtailing fakes, curtailing showing real people. That is a unique problem of open networks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not necessary that this is a major problem on a Facebook, LinkedIn, or WhatsApp, but it is definitely a problem on Instagram and Koo and Twitter.
So I've been too close to it and have too many war stories here, but I have a philosophically different perspective on this. I feel that, and I don't know if I should be saying this in the open, but maybe I'll say it at an abstract level, right? These platforms are built and are monetizing user data, right? At the end of the day, they're monetizing behavioral data, they're monetizing personal data.
If I were to ask, like, since you were the CEO of both Facebook and Insta India, what level does that monetization go to? Is it figuring out my preferences to show me an ad? Or how far does it really go?
Just take a knife and stab him in the neck.
Like, do you want to kill me? All I can say is, okay, I'll give you a real world example, right? So we often thought that Facebook and WhatsApp are two disparate platforms, right? And then WhatsApp released its update where it said they're going to share data, right? So what does that mean? So I was getting into a meeting sitting like this in a hotel with a friend of mine who is from Jodhpur. And it was during the pandemic, or the pandemic just came 3 months later. I remember, this was early Jan 2020. My mom's birthday, 70th birthday, was around the time when the pandemic began in 2020. And I was just wondering, saying, hey, where should I just go, which is not too far? They're a little elderly, it's a 70th birthday. And I said, you're from Jodhpur. I heard there's the most beautiful Taj Palace Hotel at Jodhpur, right? So we're just having this conversation. And he's like, yeah, I'll get it all done for you. But I message the GM of Taj, who I know, on WhatsApp saying, hey, very keen to come to this hotel. Can you send me the rates, right? Or can you help me with this package? And I'm entering this meeting like the next second. And the first ad that I get on Facebook is Taj Hotels marketing that hotel, Umaid Bhawan Palace at Jodhpur. Now, I'll let you infer from it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just stating it as an example.
These are facts.
These are facts, right? So data is being mined and used. I think the more drastic part of it came out when you see the way the world is getting bipolar completely, and how platforms are built to keep showing you something in a social loop, right? So for instance, if I tell you, hypothetically, demonetization was the best thing that happened to the Indian economy. Now you're in finance and you're in everything that you do, but let's say you're not a finance guru, right? And you're not the Zerodha founder, but you are the average, middle class Indian in India. And if I show you that piece of content in 7 different ways at 7 different times, because I know you've engaged on it, you're definitely going to form an opinion, right? But if I tell you demonetization is the worst thing that happened to this country, because you follow. So essentially the way the world works is people are following two sources of media, whether it's left or right wing, each has a point of view. And I think these platforms and the algos, because they're built on social graphs, they're built on who you follow, who are your friends, what are your interests, and what do you engage on more and more and more, right?
Do you think this is a little bit counterintuitive when I say it, but do you think the negative feedback loop is so much bigger than the positive feedback loop? So if I were to be right wing, I would be showed pro left wing data to get me to try and react.
It's a very deep question. It could go either ways, but if you see what has been proven with Cambridge Analytica, it was basically this manipulation, right? They used combinations of this around that manipulation. And I am philosophically dead against any of that, right? I feel that, you need to show both sides of the story. You need to let people form their own opinions. So in another very interesting anecdote that I'll share is my driver. I don't know if I said this the last time. Did I share this example? I don't remember this. But my driver left to Dubai because he got a job there and I couldn't afford to pay him what he was getting there. And a young kid, 26-year-old.
How much should drivers, just out of curiosity, get paid in Dubai?
So he was making over $1.5 lakh there. And, here it's 20 to 30K, right? So actually that was unaffordable. I wished him luck, gave him a letter of recommendation. And he sent me a request on LinkedIn. All right. Very interesting insight. So I was like, hey, I called him up. This is just out of curiosity. I'm like, why didn't you send me a request on LinkedIn? You're 26 years old. All kids are on Instagram, right? So he asked me, this was in Hindi, saying, Saab, aap kitna kamate ho? I said, ठीक ठाक कमा लेता हूँ, right? He said, चलो ये मान लो कि आप महीने के 1 लाख रुपए कमाते हो और मैं आपको लीला पैलेस लेके गया एक पार्टी में जहाँ पे 1000 लोग हैं और वहाँ सबकी तनख्वाह 10 करोड़ महीने की है, आपकी 1 लाख है, उनकी 10 करोड़, आपको कैसे लगेगा? तो ऐसे यार मेरे को अजीब लगेगा, मेरे को लगेगा ये मेरे लोग नहीं है, ये मेरी महफिल नहीं है, I'm a little out of place, I'll be a little awkward. He said, that's how I feel on Instagram. And that was an interesting insight because what he said is that platform is all about fancy food, fancy fashion, fancy hotels. Yeah. It's not just, it's not even aspirational, it's unattainable. So it's intimidating.
And it's unreal to a certain
extent.
Nobody's living that lifestyle they're portraying.
Exactly.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis. And so we used 2 or 3 first principles when we went down this journey. The first principle that we used is we will never force a person to sign it. He or she can be anonymous for all his life. 2, we will never ask him for personal data. 3, we will never drive a personalization algorithm basis a social graph, which is your friends and family and the networks who you follow. Rather, we will build it on a content graph.
And where is this? Which platform are you
This is with Josh and with Daily Hunt, right? Josh, of course, is short video. Daily Hunt is more news and infotainment. And so with
just for context for everybody watching, how big is Josh and Daily Hunt now?
So Daily Hunt today serves about 240 million monthly active users on the app. We're preloaded onto every single Android device known to mankind. And we find very interesting ways to activate it. Josh is about 180 million in terms of its reach.
How many are yours up?
Are super small compared. Like at our peak, we were 10 million monthly active users.
Right. But I'm guessing they're different gauges.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah.
I mean, Koo has had a very, very interesting growth around growing organically and growing very fastly.
Yeah.
We admire what they're doing.
I think between you guys, are you the biggest social media platforms, Indian ones?
Yeah.
I would yes, yeah.
Anyone else you can think of?
ShareChat is a social platform, though. They're also
Is
very
it?
big.
Is ShareChat truly a social platform, though?
It's more for whatever we've seen in terms of the use case is
WhatsApp shares.
Sharing WhatsApp shares. So good morning, good nights, those messaging.
That's how it began. Then there was a lot, they started doing content as well.
So in India, you basically divide India into A, B, C, D, right? A is your celebrities, B is English-speaking India.
Is the funnel top-down or bottom-up?
See, if you do top-down, you monetize more. If you do bottom-up, you don't monetize at all.
Yeah.
Right?
As in, you're doing top-down, so you go to the influencers
Yeah.
first. Same?
Same. So that's how
you have to, like, if you have the ministers, sportsmen,
And what is
Bollywood
the
guys.
incentive for them to come onto a new platform at the very beginning, at the cusp
So
of you
with
being born?
with Coup, we've kind of like uh, made them so thoughts and opinions platform. There's only Twitter till we came in, and Twitter is primarily English. So celebrities and English speaking India in a bubble is what Twitter is.
Just focusing on India for one more second. How big is the social media consuming audience in English and how big is it in Hindi?
So 240 million Indians can read, speak, and understand English in some format. About 200, 250. About 560 million Indians speak and communicate in Hindi. About 250 million Indians is Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, right? And about 150 million is
Bangla, Marathi.
Gujarati, Marathi, that side. And Bangla, Odia is another 100 odd million, right? So you add this math up, it comes to about 1.15, 1.2 billion, right? But if you really think about Bharat, which is the use case that we solve for, we solve for local content. If you search for hashtag food on Instagram and hashtag food on Josh's chalk and cheese, ours they seem very Indian, very basic, whereas that's very international, right? So I think the principles that we used is one, it supports all Indian languages. Two, you never sign in. Three, we'll never personalize with your social graph. We'll build a content graph, which basically means we'll try and understand what kind of content you consume at what time of day. But then, if I just let's say you only consume fitness content. Let's take that as an example. If I just kept showing you fitness content, your feed's going to get really boring, right? Like how many boys and girls will you look at working out?
Right.
But maybe I'll show you an adjacency, right? Maybe I'll show you something in dance or something in
Healthy food.
or in healthy food, right? That's a great example. So I'll try and diversify and try and sample content to see, hey, is that working? Or today is Holi. Let me show you something on Holi, right? Does Nikhil engage with it? So that's how we build a content graph. And then the fourth thing that we did from an AI perspective is when we see diverse perspectives, take the example, demonetization is good. If you're following a medium or a media that says it's good, we're going to show you one that shows you a diverse perspective. And then you make the choice, right? And so that's something that we've done very consciously to avoid this confirmation bias that social platforms are inherently incentivized to. Because don't forget, if you think about what I said earlier, the incentive model is very simple. More users, get them to spend more time. That's it. It results in ad revenue.
So, Umang, on that, so don't you think in the future, let's say I use your data or Nikhil's data on your behavior on my platform, and then I made $100 through the year. If I gave you back 40, right? That is not happening today on any platform.
Yeah.
But if I did give you back $40, you'll be okay with that sharing of data because you're monetizing your own data, which you never knew that.
Yeah.
So if there is transparency around, and I give you a report at the end of the year saying I made this much money, sure, I'm paying you this much, I think India will go nuts.
It's an interesting use case where you pay the user. I've not thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually run a loyalty program on Coup.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
say I am a user who spends 10 minutes on Coup a day. I click on 20 different things. How much would that amount be? If you were to monetize me and
The more I can monetize, the more
what
I'll
would
pay.
that amount be though? The number. Would you earn 10 rupees from me and you give back 4? Is that the ballpark you're thinking?
Yeah. So, finally, we want to get to a place where I will share at least 20-30% of what I earn with you.
But I'm trying to figure out if the scale is exciting or enticing enough for somebody to, kind of go in for that. Is it like 10 paisa a day that you would earn, or is it 100 rupees a day?
There is. I would say there is enough money in the game.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. None of the global platforms pay creators.
Except YouTube.
Except YouTube. But that's, even if you take in comparison of you would have the same creator on YouTube in the US versus here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's times, right? And YouTube is more of a consumption network. So not really a social media platform, right? I'm just talking about other social platforms, right? We've also started something similar wherein you pay someone for driving a certain behavior, consume more, spend more time, like shares, etc. You'll be surprised that money can be fairly meaningful. It could range from it depends on the level of engagement, but it can start from 10, 20 rupees and go up to a couple of hundred, if not thousand.
Which is life changing for many.
Yeah, we've done various levels of giving back, and behavior changes extreme.
So what would happen next is you start paying me to be on Coup. I make 100, I make 500 rupees. Then I get obsessed with clicking on Coup. Till the point where
Sound.
the amount of money I make from clicking on Coup starts to diminish because a lot of people start doing it. Does that work like?
Well, the big guys will never do it because they lose money. So
You're saying you'll create this ecosystem of people. We have this in the stock market. We call them market makers or jobbers. So they would sit on the boundary and do this as a vocation and make a wage from it.
No, so this is for every user. It's not just for the market makers. It is for every user to be incentivized for having used your data if I ever use. If you don't want me to use your data and you don't want the money from it, then you pay. Right? Buy a subscription, do something else. This is the user side. Nobody in the world of social media has done it.
What if one were to argue that why will I pay a social media platform, take a subscription, then give them my data, which they
no, you either do this or that.
so then you don't take.
It's an ads-free experience. It's
Right.
So on the other side, so user is very happy independently, right? And then on the creator side, as Umang was saying, nobody pays the creator, right? So what needs to be done is ad share is definitely something, but next month, as in this month, end of this month, we're creating something called Coup Premium, where you as a creator can run a premium channel. Like Anupam Kher has 4 million followers on Coup. Now, if you can convert 5% of them into paid subscribers, he starts making meaningful money. And he will go and then tell all the followers on platforms where he doesn't make any money, like Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else, to come and follow him on Coup because that funnel is now ready. So grow his 4 million to 20 million and 5% to 10%. That'll become his goal then.
Interesting. Can you also finish that journey you were talking about? We're all slightly different age groups. So it'll be interesting to know, just a quick minute when you went from your email, you went to email, even though you had a phone, because somebody asked you to. Then you went to Orkut or whatever. What happened next? What happened between that and starting Coup?
Oh, yeah. So Orkut was actually the first cool platform, right? That everyone entered. It was a more open network where anybody could go on somebody's wall and say anything, right? And the experience, so at least, as a...
my Google, no?
Oh, no, they bought it later.
Google bought it.
They bought it later. But
Interesting, Google has never built a successful.
Yeah, why?
They tried. Google Wave, Google Buzz, they tried everything. Google Plus.
Why did they kill Orkut even though it was doing so well?
Facebook took over.
Took over.
For the same...
So what did Facebook
Orkut,
have?
then MySpace happened, and then Facebook took over.
So what did Facebook have that Orkut did not?
So Facebook had more privacy. Like there was a handshake that was required. Like I send you a friend request, you accept it, and then both of us are connected and we can communicate. Orkut didn't have that. Anybody could come to my wall and say anything.
But wasn't that like an easy thing for them?
No, that was like a feature. They fixed that. I mean, you could send friend requests on Orkut? On Orkut as well.
But that was later, after Facebook did it. Right?
Maybe.
So Facebook just did a fantastic PR exercise across the world to just take over the world.
See, the value of a social network is how many of my friends are already on it and how much of relevant content that I want to see is already on it, right?
Yeah.
So Facebook did a really good job on three things. One, making those connections which were secure and ensuring that by the time you came on, there were at least 20 people in your social.
I think the magic number was 7.
Yeah.
Right? 7 friends you've added, you're done.
You're done.
You'll be there for life.
Right. So that was one. Two, this was something that they did well. They incentivized a lot of creators, not by paying money, but just by saying, hey, we'll help you reach a larger audience, right? So publishers, creators, all of that came onto the platform. And they did that really well in English. But the problem with local language was when I was a local language user, let's say there were 250 million people on Facebook. If a Gujarati user came in, he didn't see too much of Gujarati content. And he didn't have any of his friends. It was a chicken and egg problem, right? But the initial part, they did really, really well.
Yeah.
But if you look at what's happening now, it's lost its relevance. It's my view, right? And I think content graphs are taking over the world. And the biggest example of this is TikTok. TikTok is eating everyone's lunch in the US, right? Because
Why is that? I think we spoke about this the other day, but we were not recording it, right? You were saying the number of creators to the number of people.
So, at least if I could be, if I could ask you a question, what's your base? When was the last time you posted on Facebook?
I post quite often.
You do?
Yeah, see, but what I do is I think once something goes on a certain platform, the person just replicates it on all.
No, public figures behave differently.
Yeah, leave what you're doing for work, right? Like if you're posting an article or an award or a feature that you launched, you'll put it everywhere, right? That I would do that with Daily Hunt, and I did it this morning again for our espresso feed on Instagram. But when was the last time you posted something truly social or personal on any of these platforms?
I do actually, once in a while, yeah. But I think I'm an exception.
No, he has followers. See, the average Facebook user doesn't have followers. Follower is a concept that has come later on Facebook. Average person has friends.
Correct.
And those posts are not happening.
But I saw a number recently that showed that Facebook is still like the most active social platform.
Like my mom is hooked on it. Like my dad spends 3 hours on it.
It's older audiences,
Yeah.
right? So today, if you look at any of the kids in this building or in this vicinity,
There are no kids in this building.
maybe. But ask
Can I say a funny story?
Yeah.
So, me and Nikhil, my brother, and my mom and my dad, we're all friends with each other on Facebook. So, a couple of years ago, we didn't go to a particular wedding. Like me and Nikhil did not turn up because we were stuck somewhere or whatever. Of a relative of my mother. So she goes on Facebook and puts on her wall, I have the worst kids in the world, tags at Nikhil Kamath. That's how important Facebook is to her.
Got it.
That is her world. That is her means of
Expressing
Yeah.
to the world. Yeah.
So it is. But today, when I look at it, globally, three things are happening. One, people don't find Facebook relevant anymore in terms of younger audiences. And that's a known fact. It's a absolutely known fact. It's there in India as well. Two, they find the ephemeral nature of messaging and communication a lot more powerful. It beats me why, but that's why
That's based on use case.
it's a use case, right? I understand. I won't go there. I won't go there, but that's suddenly become popular. But three, I think why TikTok got so popular is the algorithm. When you're looking into TikTok, TikTok's looking straight back into you.
meaning. Explain.
So, it's just showing me random content, right? But I don't know if you used it.
I have never.
Okay, so if you do, you'll find that you could wheel away hours on it because the feed
It's
is
clipping channels on the
it's so personalized. My feed is very different from your feed, is very different from your feed, and my feed is dynamic. It's not in a boring old loop.
Why is that so addictive? That whole switching from one thing to another constantly for so long? Because I just remembered when you said this, I do it on Swiggy.
Yeah,
Like I just keep scrolling restaurants and dishes for 1 hour.
yeah. I mean, I do. I do that.
But why?
Curiosity, right? It's curiosity. It's about what your mood is. But let's say Nikhil Kamath comes in from urban Bangalore, and I show him gaon wala content. Now that's not going to be relevant for Nikhil Kamath. But let's imagine that I've not asked Nikhil Kamath to sign in. I've not asked him for any preferences. I'm just driving a few pieces of content. And by the way, this content is untagged, right? It's 10-second content, right? So basically, it's a supply and demand equation. On the supply, you bring in billions and billions of pieces of content, 10-second, 20-second, 30-second. You use AI to understand what's in that content. Is it urban? Is it rural? Is it a song? Is it dance? Is it poetry? Is it shairi? Is it, fun, skit, dance, etc.? And you tag it with a machine. And on the right-hand side, I get Nikhil, who's users, and I sample. And dynamically, the AI then marries what I believe is Nikhil's implied preferences by the amount of time he spends on a certain kind of content, by his likes, shares, comments.
Like if Instagram showed you, or TikTok or whoever, Josh, showed you food videos of restaurants around, you'd spend time there,
Yeah, there you go.
right? Not Swiggy.
Yeah.
You hopefully will see that personalization.
100%. One of the favorite things I like to do is to go to a supermarket. I just love that experience of walking down and looking at everything.
What would it be like to consume this?
Just on a
What would
fun
be like
fact.
to consume this?
On a fun fact, I tried this app the other day called Just My Roots,
Okay.
and I loved it.
What is it?
So it's an app where they've got limited choices. But let's say you are missing a dish or food from somewhere that you love, okay? From a city that you love. So let's say I've never lived in Punjab, but I've been to Amritsar a couple of times and I love the food there, right? So the Amritsari kulcha is right up there in terms of,
And they send it here?
yeah. So you go to there are the five best kulcha guys there. You order it in 48 hours because it's Amritsar.
Wow.
And ships here. And it's so beautifully packaged.
And how expensive is this?
It's the normal price with some shipping, right?
Really?
It's really reasonable.
So I can order biryani from Hyderabad anytime.
So there's Swiggy Legends, right? Swiggy also has this.
Yeah.
They call Legends.
They have very limited choice. These guys are slightly better. So, if I go
Swiggy is not, I think it's a
Hazurin sandwiches, if you've ever been to Pune, right? So I ordered that the other day. But what I really loved is that they have this option called Maa Ke Haath Ka Khana, which is pretty cool. So my mom's in Delhi.
So they pick it up from your home.
And so all you got to say is how many liters of food or capacity is your mom going to make? So, I asked my mom, hey, I'm sending this.
I thought they just box your money and send it.
They sent me, she cooked food and it was 6 liters.
And how do they do it? The flight?
They flight. So 6 liters from Gurgaon to Delhi, to Gurgaon to Bangalore came in 24 hours.
And how much did that cost you?
It cost me 1,600 rupees for 6 liters of food. I mean, imagine this box can accommodate a liter. Right? So I didn't want to do marketing for another product, but I just loved it. Just loved it. It was like, what's good up there? Your home food. And all of us are suckers for our mother's cooking, aren't we?
So Tanmay, you're probably the most popular social media person in the country.
Not in the country, but sure. On this table, yeah.
I like how he knows it and he's still, trying to figure out if he should contest it or not.
I don't want to be the most popular person on social media. It's too much.
Okay, tell us about how you got into this. Because honestly, we've been friends for so long. I've never asked you where you grew up. What was your first experience with social media?
I think, like everybody else, I did the Orkut journey. I had my MySpace phase, I had my Facebook phase. And then I got onto Twitter, and my first audience that I built was primarily on Twitter. Because at that point, like in 2009, I was on Twitter in 2009. I had just gotten into comedy then. So I used to wake up every day.
So was it comic content which got you your first audience?
Just jokes, right? I would spend 6 hours a day writing one-liners on...
Give me an example.
Example of?
What you used to write back then.
Oh, in 2009, I remember there was a Commonwealth Games phase that was like really, really popular at that time. It was happening in India. All kinds of stuff was happening. So there were a bunch of the early guys. It was me, Rohan, Ashish was on it. We all used to write in general. I was writing for magazines. I was writing jokes. I was writing funny articles for Mumbai Mirror, etc., etc. And here came a platform where I could flex my writing. So I would just tweet from morning to evening on anything newsworthy. And if like a cricket game was on, or if there's a big news event, that means maximum engagement on whatever you wrote. So I got my first 10,000 followers.
Is that a good tip for anybody trying to get bigger? Like talk about...
Oh, I have a full presentation on this, but I'll give you a basic idea on
how does somebody starting off today become as popular as a fraction of as
just
popular?
a general engagement tip, right? One, anything topical is always going to get engagement on any platform.
Describe topical.
Today the test match is going on between India and Australia. So a tweet about the test match will get massive engagement. A reel about the test match will get decent engagement. I uploaded a YouTube video today which is called The Indian Team is Savage. If it was 2 weeks ago, then the Siddharth Malhotra Kiara Advani wedding would have gotten you engagement. Whatever is the topic of the day, that'll get you huge engagement. In fact, at the IB, I remember PV Sindhu was either going to win gold medal or silver medal. We had memes ready for both, right? Because the trick was to put it out as soon as the event happens.
Is that the trick? The latency between when the event happens and when you post?
On Twitter.
Or is it also how contrarian your view is?
So I'm getting to that, right? So topicality is the number one thing, which if you can be topical, you'll get maximum engagement. Anything that becomes a popular sentiment. So for example, any take that becomes really popular creates a market for the contrarian take automatically, because everybody wants to be different. So if for a long time you keep saying dry Maggie is great, one day someone will get up and be like, actually, if you think about it, soupy Maggie is so much better, guys. And you will automatically have 10 people agree with it saying, yeah, you know what, that's true. Because people want to be contrarian. People want to be different. People don't want to fit into what everybody else is agreeing. The internet is a funny place. People share relatable memes to be different. Like it's such a paradox if you think about it. So everybody's sharing stuff. Everything that's on your profile is you building your brand, right? Including your opinion. So one is topicality will get you engagement. Extreme opinion about anything will get you engagement. High positive sentiment usually should give you engagement.
Does it?
Yeah, high positive sentiment. You'll see a lot of folks. If you tweet out saying I had a baby, right? That's usually, if you tweet out a tweet thread about how amazing Rahul Dravid is, probably get engagement, because a lot of people would want to agree with that. Nostalgia always gets a lot of engagement.
I would assume people come together on the negative a lot more than they would on
of
the
course,
positive.
a lot more than the positive. Yeah, but if something positive happens and you join that bandwagon, you would naturally get engagement. Dogs, babies, that kind of stuff gets engagement.
Also on dating sites, right?
Also on dating sites.
How many are you on?
I'm on all of them.
Oh, really?
Which one works best?
I'm not on
social media platforms.
Those are social media.
Yeah, those are. I've never been on a dating platform. I don't know what that means. So I just.
Okay, which one works best and which one for somebody who's as popular as you?
Works, but for me, everything works really.
I can't believe we always somehow come here.
You're trying to bait me.
Tinder, Bumble, or is there something new?
There's nothing new, I think. I mean, Instagram's the new dating platform.
Really?
Look, any social media platform, if with decent network effects,
It started
like sliding into your DMs became that phrase, right? Like, so any social media,
A couple hooked up on Brazil coup.
And you were watching? I mean the conversation between them.
It came back to us as, oh, I met this guy on coup. Yeah, no, we weren't spying. We don't have access.
But that's a very interesting use
Yeah.
case we should talk about live.
So if a girl were to chat with a guy or chat with another girlfriend of hers and say, this is what I look for in a man and stuff like that, and a guy in another part of the city is chatting with his guy friend and looking for the girl, would you show this person the other person and recommend
We
it?
can't read DMs. At least we can't. This is example when
You guys suddenly look awkward when you're saying that.
we don't read DMs, but we don't. Yeah.
Right. But
So I come from a slightly different school. I believe that there's someone watching, and you gotta be careful, right?
Yeah. On the internet,
I don't believe in messages that this conversation is encrypted. Because if you go to Google and say, how do I decrypt an encrypted message on platform X, you'll see like a zillion videos, which is so simple. You give me your phone, I'm going to decrypt all your WhatsApps, right? Sorry. Should have said that. So I don't believe it.
I actually wanted to say that.
So nothing's really private, right? Like you're always leaving a digital footprint everywhere. And so that's my school of thought.
You were saying something very interesting. How to get more engagement. You started tweeting 2009.
I started tweeting 2009. I got my first 10,000.
Started making jokes.
Started making jokes. Then at that
Why did you think of starting to make jokes on Twitter? What were you doing at that time? Which city were you in?
I was in Bombay. I was just starting to do stand-up. I used to write for television.
How old were you?
I was 23, I think. Yeah, 23. 24. This is 2009 and I was 22.
So I just started making jokes. I got my first 10,000 followers on Twitter. I scaled it up to about 100K. Then actually everybody at AIB met through Twitter. In fact, a lot of comedians were born on Twitter by making jokes. Because 140 characters, the news became the most dominant thing on Twitter very quickly. Everybody discussed the news. So the hot topic of the day, whatever it is, you'd make jokes. I scaled that up to about 100K. Then AIB happened, and then YouTube was running a program called CIP, it was called, I think, Creators in something, where they asked us to get into the program and start making YouTube videos. And that was a foray into video. And then I got into Instagram much later. But one trend I've seen is that if you're really big on YouTube, you are likely also big on the other platforms, but not vice versa. Sometimes you could be really big on Instagram, but nobody follows you on YouTube or Twitter. But if you're a massive YouTuber, you will see millions of, if you have say 10 million people on YouTube, you have at least a couple of million on the other platforms, even if you're not super active on it.
Do you think I would call myself an outsider in the world of creating. Do you think YouTube has found a bigger use case today than Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything else? Because there is a lot more educational stuff out there. I'll give you an example. Like I knew we were doing this today and I wanted to find out what's happening, which is new and innovative in the world of social media. I could not get that on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook as easily as I could watch a Lex Friedman podcast on social media and get it on YouTube.
Hey, YouTube has replaced television for me many years ago, actually. To me, that platforms, like YouTube gets a lot of flack, but what they have done over the last decade is pretty phenomenal. Being a YouTuber is a legitimate job and an occupation now, which is nuts to me. Like being a tweeter or is not a thing. I think that's the first thing that they did really well, which is make the
Creator make money.
Yeah. Creators make money. Like creators make a ton of money on YouTube.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast make a ton of money. I mean, if like the
Can you tell us how much? Because we don't know. I mean, I'm sure you guys know. I don't know.
20, 30, 40, 50, 100 million as well, 50 million plus.
this is in dollars. In India, the CPMs, in India the CPMs are way lower.
No, you have to be a creator in the US.
In the US. No, but even the creators in India are making a CPM in cost per 1,000. So if 1,000 monetized views, what do you make? Like India is sub $2. But in America and I think in the Scandinavian countries, it's like 10, 12, in some cases $20.
I'll ask you like one more level of personal question, slightly. If you put out a post or a video on Instagram versus YouTube versus Facebook, don't tell me the exact amount, but what is the amount of money you would make as a percentage of each other?
Zero on everything.
Zero on everything, but I mean, YouTube has ad.
YouTube is the only guy.
Ad revenue. I get no money when I post on Instagram. Nothing. You don't make any money.
Now Instagram is starting. They're just rolling it out, which is for short video. You start making money, just like YouTube also rolled it out. They rolled out revenue on shorts.
But then you do brand deals on Instagram.
I do brand deals on Instagram and everywhere.
That's too much more effort. Here you just post the video and you're making money.
Yeah.
So least friction money.
And so interesting that YouTube did this, which is at some point they gave creators the ability to place multiple ads depending on the length of the video, right? So that's why overnight you saw creators were making 6-minute videos, who suddenly started making 10-minute videos, right? That crossing that 10-minute mark became important. So people started having, 2-minute outros just so they could cross the 10-minute mark because I replaced 2 ads. Today, if I post a 20-minute video, I can choose where all the ads can go. The only thing that YouTube still hasn't done is they still haven't let creators be involved in the auctioning of their inventory, so to say. I still don't know details about when people have bought inventory on my page. I notice it from the comments when people are like,
But you can pick which ads go on your thing.
I have no control over the advertising side of my channel.
Black box. See the difference, and it started historically. And the only point that I'll add is I consider Tanmay a professional, right? He is a professional creator. This is not a fly-by-night Joe, right? And I keep coming back to what TikTok did. It gave a platform to a fly-by-night Joe.
Yes.
Right? So Faisal Sheikh, who today, Faisal, right? He has 68 million followers on Josh, right? He was earlier on TikTok, had about, I think, 20 million followers.
And how much money might he be making from this?
The little that I know is Faisal Sheikh spends half his time in a very fancy hotel in Dubai and, drives a very fancy car. And I can tell you he's earning, I don't know, hazard a guess, but I know he's making multiples of millions of dollars in a year. And this was a kid who, prior to TikTok.
But you can make revenue on Josh by posting videos? Is it like YouTube where you do a split between creators?
So because the video doesn't play inline in a short video, you can't share ad revenue fairly, right? Because the ad will come in between short video. So who do you attribute it to, right? So what we're doing here is that depending upon the engagement on a person's post and his quality of content, there are several metrics, tiers by which creators make money, right? And it's all pay for performance, right? So you make good quality content, but someone like him, or for example, we had this kid called Vijita who we found somewhere, right? He got he was a great rapper and he has a music label deal with T-Series, right? So you basically find talent. These are unknown, inane people. The problem with at least what I've seen when I speak to these creators, actually YouTube, to your point, has every damn piece of content on the planet in terms of video. The problem is the discoverability of it.
And think about it, it's very search-based, search-driven, and everybody's lazy and feed-based.
Yeah.
But they do give you recommendations after you watched a video.
That's based on a search. That's based on intelligence. But your first thing when you enter is based on a search.
Now just imagine.
Or some link.
A Tamil song. And you can't type in Tamil, right? And so now, of course, they've introduced voice search, right? Which is a far better version. So what's happened is when we talk to local language creators, they have all the content, but they don't get the discoverability, right? So if you notice, YouTube, again, is dominated by Bollywood music videos and certain numbers.
But they say that in English, not in Hindi, right?
Yes.
How they title the song.
So I think YouTube YouTube monetization for the creator can be disruptive. Like we've started sharing ad revenue with creators for videos. We've even created so if you put 4 photos on a post, the 5th one we're going to make an ad and share that revenue with you. So all of that we've plugged in, right? So you will start making revenue on Koo. The guy with the max distribution can actually disrupt YouTube because YouTube is a repository. So if you see somebody's most followed account in social media, they might have 10 million followers on Instagram, but they'll still have 1 million on YouTube. Because getting a subscriber on YouTube is very difficult because the social behavior of subscribing is not what they've gone after. So if Instagram starts doing what YouTube does, YouTube will be forgotten. They can actually make more money. So this I'm talking 5-10 years. Right? The guy who doubles down on incentivizing or sharing most revenue with creators will win.
Do you think, can we reach a consensus that YouTube is somehow in a weird manner leading the pack of social media?
I wouldn't say in social media.
It's not social media. It's a creator tool. It's a tool.
which can pivot into social media?
No, it can't pivot. It is what it is. Social media can do what YouTube does, but YouTube can't do connects as well as.
What if YouTube allows you to have a profile, allows people to follow,
Already.
allows people to message each other, and
Already does.
your friend's content is recommended to you? It
You
kind
can
of
message each other on YouTube.
But if all of that happens, it becomes like a social media.
It's social media minus is how I have put it. Well, you can't DM on YouTube.
I'll give you another example. If I am watching Netflix and I can chat with the other people who are watching that particular movie on Netflix,
Then it becomes more social. Yeah.
Yeah.
it becomes like social media. No?
Like social media. Yeah.
See, there's a network effect that input creates, but I would go on to argue that all of these platforms largely are passive consumption platforms, right? What makes platforms really powerful is when he made that statement. I spent 6 hours a day writing 9 tweets or 20 tweets. So you gotta create, right? And if you look at that creator to consumer ratio, that's where we found, at least from data, time spent in China on short video is 2.5 hours a day. Average time spent.
Can you?
And
This is again.
55% of the users create content.
This is again very interesting. Since you guys are in this, is there a demography or is there a geography which spends more time on social media? If you were to compare the Chinese to the Americans to the Indians, and is there a societal construct which incentivizes a certain people to spend more time on social media?
Interesting.
So at least we've seen Brazil is more social media savvy than India because these are the two countries that
By
have
savvy,
data
do you
on.
mean they spend more time a day on
They
social
do
media?
more comments, they create more, they spend more time. So all of this,
If you were to link it to poverty or economic parameters,
in Brazil is similar.
Yeah.
okay, even if you were to split your audience, right, your customers or your people who use the platform, is there a divide you can come up with saying middle class 20 to 25 year olds spend X time, whereas another class of society spends Y time?
So if you look at it on the internet level in India, today rural time spent, interestingly, is growing over urban times. And what then more time? Yeah. One, it has more time. Two, it tells me that we're a single TV household and we're only 180 million TVs in this country or 200 million TVs in this country, right? There are 1.4 billion people. There are a billion devices, 800 million smartphones. So the phone now is your primary channel for consumption on the fly, right? And interestingly, creation as well. And that's what TikTok democratized with the most powerful creator tools on the camera, right?
TikTok was like any platform that enables you to become a rock star in the easiest way possible. Yeah, it was when YouTube, you had to be a professional video maker, and TikTok just gave you the tools so you could become a rock star quicker.
Exactly.
So you didn't finish. You want to say something?
No, I was just saying in terms of time spent, what we see, China is number one by mile.
Yeah. How much is that? Like, how much does an average Chinese person spend on social media?
If I just take short video within social media, it's 2.5 hours a day.
You're talking about the entire population.
I'm talking about 840 million monthly active users. It's insane. The country's insane, right?
Do you think?
And if I add their social networks and PDD and, a couple of those other tools that they have, it's more than 3 hours a day, 3.5 hours a day. It's insane.
Do you think there's a correlation between when countries move away from communism, socialism, come into a more capitalistic fold and they're allowed to display their own creativity in a manner which is not probably inculcated in socialism? They have a spike in social media usage and then there's a trail and it goes down?
So I think it is kind of the inverse, wherein if I look at, and I was studying this as market data, can you guess the country, fun fact, where TikTok has the highest penetration to population?
Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. How did you know that?
I was there recently.
Oh, there you go. Right. Well, you just made the trip, right?
Yeah.
It is insane. It's 98% of the population is on TikTok.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, I don't want to get religious and all that, but it's a fairly conservative, closed, society with very
Can I tell you, I heard all that. When I went there, I saw the complete opposite. Having that one crutch in life, which makes it,
foundation,
it could be right, it could be wrong, it could be absolutely anything, not even religion. But I think it removes so much ambiguity from your life that insecurity is lesser in those people. It doesn't matter what that crutch is. And these people were happily sharing each other's lives on social media, which is very unlike a more confused society where I would assume a lot more negativity goes around.
So if you think about it, I mean, I'll contrast communism, closed societies with democracies as one. The second contrast could be, the average age of the nation. Both Saudi Arabia is very young.
25, right?
Very young country, right? China is also young, but, getting older. And the third thing that I would add is like, what's the level of liberalism that they have in society as large, right? Now, of course, Saudi Arabia is building that smart city, what's it called? NEOM, right? Which is like the world's...
$3 trillion project.
Yeah,
The scale of their projects is insane. Like I went to a few of, like I was there for a while and they took me to show me different projects and investing opportunities. And it generally feels like a pocket of the world, which is not parallelly moving with the rest of the world, because you see recessions everywhere. And here you have this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We went to a villa project called Roshan. You know how many villas they're building at one time? 45,000.
What?
Yeah, that's a villa project. The projects there are like, it's like fantasy land. And I think even for Ku or for you guys, right, I think it's a market you guys should definitely hit up early, because these people are changing and they're young and they're changing really
It's
quickly.
interesting you said that. We just launched the Arabic feed in Daily Hunt, and we're transforming into that espresso web stories based feed for the MENA market.
Yeah.
And the maximum uptake that we're seeing on Arabic content is from Saudi Arabia. And interestingly, because the news market is a little, the velocity and volume of news is limited, what's more newsy is the social media guy making a post, what's trending. So it's a very different complexion to what you said, more topical, but more trends versus just pure news, right?
And I was curious and I asked them a bunch of questions, right? They showed me the social media and I was like, is there a filtering system that you guys need to follow, like from the government? Is there something you're allowed to say, something you're not allowed to say? And surprisingly, like 98% of the people I spoke to, they were all like, there's nothing. I think the perception of another place, when you don't truly experience it yourself, is so jaded by exaggerations made by people who have their own agendas at play.
I agree.
Broadly, the West has influenced.
Yep.
The West has influenced so much of our own culture.
Yeah.
English.
Yeah, English. The Western media has influenced, and like, how do I put this? Okay, like the West reached a certain stage of economic prosperity before everywhere else. So they reached that top part of the pyramid very quickly. The self-actualization part just starting to think, and then when you are economically prosperous, your thinking kind of changes. You start thinking about, for example, like work-life balance, right? Life at Kobe, right? Which is like, oh, we work, have you guys seen those popular TikToks? Like, now, this is how I'm a product manager at Meta, and this is what I do on a daily basis, which is like, walk in office at 8 a.m., grab my shake off, do the shake, and then I hang out with my team, we're going for lunch, it's like a three-hour work day.
Yeah.
And then we get influenced by that, saying, "Oh my God, I gotta come in on a Saturday." I'm like, our hockey stick growth is still yet to come.
Yeah.
Wealth is just trying to come here. So you gotta
work hard.
You gotta work hard to get there. Then the last decade they did that. You think they were doing that where Google was operating out of a garage? No, they weren't. They weren't taking weekends off, and they didn't have all this stuff. So,
But I think they're the best, well-rehearsed marketing engine in the world.
Yeah.
Their ability to suck talent from every pocket of the world.
Yeah.
That's the differentiation.
But
Right?
that's the great American dream, right? I mean, that's,
But I think that's what the Middle East is trying to do now.
Yeah.
Like become the most attractive destination.
They are.
To be there. Like San Francisco and Dubai. Now, if you give me a choice, I'll go to Dubai more than San Francisco.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a time when everybody congregated in June in London, right? Today, between November and Feb, I meet more people in Dubai than I meet anywhere in the world, right?
But there's one thing I feel about Dubai, and I'm not saying this about India to sound overtly patriotic or something like that. Dubai seems like a good place for the privileged few to spend money, but to actually start a business there and earn money is very, very difficult.
it's still expensive.
Yeah. Like,
Very expensive.
I'll give you examples of, I was trying to create a company and a fund there. They take 3 months to create a bank account for a company. DIFC license takes 1 month. For some reason, you have to do medical tests and prove you don't have certain kind of diseases to get that license to open a company. You're mandated to have physical real estate inside DIFC to be able to operate a company out of there. I think geographies like GIFT have totally transformed. We were the first company, one of the first to set up in GIFT maybe 3 years ago. When I went there, there was like, maybe 4 or 5 people in different pockets of GIFT and maybe 10 or 12 cows. Today, when you go there is no real estate available. There are probably like 20,000-30,000 people working there. I think everybody, not just us as Indians, but in each of these pockets we spoke about, be it SF, be it Dubai, be it any other geography, they might not be here, but they're talking about us like we're the next big thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is India's decade is there.
And look, they don't seem to be able to attract the same level of talent, the same level of opportunity. Look at what a payments business is worth here versus what it's worth there, a social business. So the market is much smaller. So I noticed the Be Here Now.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Tell me the story behind it.
Yeah, this is not that personal. This is not like some girlfriend.
Oh,
This is not like that one party I was at and got so drunk that I went and got a tattoo. No.
What is this?
There was this author, I used to read his books, not now, but like, when was this? Maybe like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. His name was A.K. Ramdas. I spent a disproportionately large amount of time and a large part of my life living like I will live forever. So I would procrastinate. I would constantly worry about what will happen 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. I think I was a fairly insecure kid. In many ways, I still am, but I would not go far enough to say I had some kind of a realization. But I think if you were to ask me today, I have come to terms with the fact that we are Indians. We will on average live, if we all were to die, on average we would have lived for 70 years. So if I am 36, I have 34 years left. So this is a reminder to that in a way, that you're not here forever, and stop behaving in the manner that you will be here forever. I think in a very weird way, life becomes more fun and happier, and you stop caring about a lot of stuff that you shouldn't have cared about to begin with.
In fact, when I was looking at it and reflecting on it, and the one thought that came into my mind was, how many of us truly live in the moment?
Yeah.
Or are in the moment? We lead different lives on social media because those are those masks, etc., that are put up for the dopamine hit. And how many of us are truly aware that we're in this moment, in this room? I don't know if this moment will come again. And are we relishing it? Or are we,
I don't have block next Thursday.
or are we thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow and the next, whatever, right? And so I read it that way to say,
Yeah.
just be in the moment and relish
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I feel like most of life, right, is one deception or another. And maybe if you think about anything for long enough, it's meaningless. But we all have to deceive ourselves into thinking whatever we're doing has meaning. But even things like, hard work creates success. I feel like that is conditioning to console your own ego when things don't work out. So you can then tell yourself, even though I worked hard, it did not work out. If you were to be logical about any of these things people say, hard work does not work, right? Like, I mean, like your watchman in your house probably works 3 times as hard as you. I think we are a factor of so many moving parts that we cannot control.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are, yeah.
But finish your story. You were talking about...
I finished it.
No, but how did you go from starting to tweet, spending a few hours a day?
So YouTube had started a program. So we started making YouTube videos. Our goal was, how can we make stuff that's free, watchable on the internet, that you couldn't do on television. Which is what our brand of comedy also was. And one thing led to another, we started making videos, and this is pre-Geo times where getting a million views was like a big deal. I remember the first video I think made that got a million views, but Kamath called us to be on our show and etc. 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 And then we were like, okay, what's the next comedic dream that you want to fulfill? And next we were like, okay, we want to do odd shows in India's biggest auditoriums and go around the country. And then, the following year, then we sold out City 4 auditorium, 2,500 people. Then we were like, what else do we want to do? We were like, we want to do comedy roast that was starting done in India. We've seen the Western roast, and we did that. That did 6,000 people in the door. It's started taking those boxes one by one by one. So one thing led to another, and today I'm here at Nikhil's house, talking more social media.
And among you two, I think, we've all been friends, right? And we have hung out in different capacities at different times. But I don't think I've ever asked each one of you, like, the more you think about life, you are a factor of what I don't know. What happened to you when you were a kid? What were the conditions you grew up in? How your parents were? What school you went to? Who your friends were? I don't think we can get into all of that today, but maybe talking a little bit about where we come from. Not the material, like, I got 98% in that kind of stuff, but just a broad picture which helps us.
of us got 98%.
Umang, I have a doubt.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed, but yeah. So, childhood was very regular.
Oh, he said we're not going to discuss that.
Okay, so
I need to stick to my therapist.
regular childhood. Grew up in Bombay.
Yeah.
Dad worked with L&T as his first job and his last job. So started as an engineer and then retired from the board. So it was a great upbringing. I loved growing up in Bombay and Bali Hill.
Can I just digress for a second? There is a really weird school of thought. So my new big thing is psychology, okay? I've stopped reading all books on finance, economy, stock market. I just read psychology shit. And this has been the deal for the last few years. So it talks about people who are successful and correlates how horrible their childhood was. It says most successful people, especially startup founders and stuff like that, I don't consider startup people successful in the true sense of the word, because a lot of what we do is in our own bubbles and whatever, right? But let's assume for that to be true. So he says that if you were very, very insecure, even though modern world today tells us insecurity is a bad thing, insecurity is directly proportional to how much you will overcompensate for that insecurity and in turn be successful by the gauge that capitalism considers successful.
So by that logic,
Don't look at me.
by that logic, I'll just remove the mask. I think if I had to describe myself, I would describe myself as amongst the most shallow human beings on planet Earth. Because
The fact that you're able to admit that to yourself probably makes you less shallow than some of us.
No, it's not true. So it was always about chasing something,
Right.
and pleasing something and wearing a mask. So it was about standing first in class all through just to please that, right? Or it was, spending the first 6 years as an engineer and trying to be capitalistic and make the most amount of money. And then the next 14 years was that phase where I became an accidental CEO at 27, and then ran into it, Adobe, Facebook, and it was just one thing after the other. And for me, I think that realization came when I'm the most shallow human being is when I looked at myself and I turned 40. And I had kilos, didn't like the guy I was. I don't think I was a great, I was never around for the family because one was always trying to, solve someone's problem or the company's problem, and you kind of made that title your identity. And you always chased a materialistic asset. And so I think on that day, I'd like to believe I gave it all up. Viru and I, when we started off, we had no real funds, etc. We just had a belief in what we were doing. And and 5 years down that journey as an entrepreneur, we've had 3 near bankrupt experiences, reached with 1 month cash.
What did you think at your lowest when, say, you were 3 months away from bankruptcy? What was the thought process between you and your co-founder, Viru?
So Viru and I are like brothers. We have the deepest intellectual honesty that we can say anything to each other.
When things get really bad,
Yeah.
is there innate tendency to kind of blame each other and at a very small level? No?
So we've never had those issues because, we're so comfortable with each other that we can now, he's almost like people tease me as like my work spouse, right? Because we can complete each other's sentences. But I think when we ran out of money with that 1 month, I can be very open around this and say March 2020, March 7th, the pandemic hit. We were going to run out of cash on March 30th. We had just 1 month's cash left in the bank. And those are humbling moments, right? You go through a couple of these. But it was for no fault of ours. I mean, the business was doing well. The revenue was up. We were just burning a little bit more in that phase of daily hunt. And now, of course, it's profitable. But that phase was hard. But I think the only decision that we were debating between ourselves is, are we pushing it too much to the edge? Will this happen? And somewhere I had this innate belief. In fact, Viru has told the story publicly that the month that we came together on a $100 million term sheet, which went away. And I took it more personally than him. Literally sat on an economy seat plane around the world trying to raise our first $15 million. And that was great. And I think I had more fun in that journey when we were a 500 million company and we were more scrappy and whatever. But I think where it came to the only point of debate between us is, should we tell the teams and let go of people? And I'm philosophically against that school. You cut your coat according to your cloth, and if you hire, you technically shouldn't be firing, right? And you shouldn't live beyond your means. So luckily on March 28th, 2020, we raised 75 and we got out of it. But I would say that turning 40 and that realization, getting more focused on health and fitness, getting, more focused on trying to build and create and try and leave a legacy was, I today, irrespective of who I'm meeting, I wear my kids in a t-shirt and I won't dress for anyone. I don't do the things that I did. I don't care about which car someone came in or, where someone stays. My judgment is, do I like you and can I relate to you and can I learn from you and even contribute back? So I've kind of I don't think I've attained sainthood, but I'd like to believe that I'm not as shallow as I was. Just chasing a title, chasing the next number, chasing the next position. I probably had the best paying job in tech in India when I gave it up with Facebook, right? And so it's one of those moments. But I think my wife used to tell me that those 2 years I was, not a fun guy to be with because I was just so obsessed in a different direction. So it's kind of negative in that sense. And you kind of tend to believe. The other thing that, as an entrepreneur, you probably know this the best, but people people meet you as Nikhil Kamath. Let's say you're super successful today, but there was a time when you were not, right? And would those people still give you that time and attention? I think you tend to get to know who those real people are. And I think when you're talking to someone, is he meeting you for the title? Is he meeting you because of you? And I think that journey of discovery over the last 5 years has been amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything else, but that's a little bit of personal context.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah, I feel like we all have imposter complex a little bit, right? I feel like it's one of the best things in the world. I think the higher your imposter complex and you believe you should not have gotten lucky in the manner that you did, the nicer you turn out to be as a person.
I think more humble you turn out to be, for sure, because you realize that it isn't you. It was circumstantial, it was luck, it was whatever.
And people don't give enough weightage to being nice. I think it's a big categorization for me. Like,
the world is actually not equipped, or the world doesn't know how to treat nice people.
right.
And it's very weird. Like, if somebody's nice, you're gonna start to take advantage. Somebody's honest, you're gonna start to take advantage. As in the world, okay, right? So the world is not equipped, and hence the niceness kind of like fades rather than increase.
There's another angle to this niceness thing, and I think as a comedian, he probably has the highest of it, right? One, I think to be a comedian, you need to be freaking smart and highly intellectual.
I think comedians and politicians, smartest people in our community.
Smartest people, right? You've got to be highly intellectual.
I imagine Bhagwan Pun.
But the interesting part that I find is the hardest skill to hire for and the hardest skill to inculcate is emotional quotient. Okay. Like, can I emotionally be empathetic to what your needs are? And this would be on social media, this would be in the workplace, right? Really hard to find people with high EQ, right? And that's what we need, right? I mean, that's what makes great teams work, or the ability to create magic, or the ability to emotionally connect with your audience, right? And you probably have a formula for it. I'll pause there. I was wanting to turn it over to you.
No, I think, for me, there was, the difference between AIB and my current brand, right? Like I see a lot more love now. There's a lot of respect for the content we made at AIB. I think a lot of it is with my own personal journey. There's people have beyond. In public, there's been a lot of ups and downs. And the pandemic kind of helped because I was live for 6 to 8 hours straight. I was, so everything that was happening with me was also being displayed publicly. And but emotionally connecting with an audience is, it really comes down to authenticity. Like, you began this conversation by saying I'm the most shallow person in the world, and you already had me. And then I was so into that story, even though Umang took me to I had breakfast with Umang last couple of weeks ago, where we went through both of our journeys, actually. So it actually comes down to that. And being able to be that authentic, it requires a certain sense of security, knowing that anybody's flawed and it's okay if my flaws aren't public, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big skill, and anybody who's able to do it that flawlessly is, I think Zakir, who's a comedian that you yes, is so phenomenally good at it. I think in this day and age where comedy is no longer an occasion, it's a medium. Being able to emotionally connect is a much bigger superpower. You also want to laugh along with someone who you emotionally like. So you like, if you go to a restaurant and there's a band playing, and if it's not a band that you like, you can tune it out. But if you go to a restaurant, it's a comedian you don't like, you're not going to eat there.
Do you know who you like right away when you meet people?
I think people make good first impressions. And there are some skills that you can develop to make good first impressions.
At one point in life, you should write a self-help book. How to make a good first impression, how to become a social media star, how to do what with you know what.
Thank you for editing on the fly, Nikhil. Kamath.
See, I'm learning.
Anyway, interesting end to a social media conversation, right?
We're not ending. We have more to talk about social media.
Oh, really?
Like, we need to talk about.
I was like, really emotional right now.
We need to talk about what platforms next. What is the future of social media? We need to talk about, is social media good or bad for our kids?
That's a very important.
There's so much content which I watched last night about it, and I feel like I want to get off social media right now. But we'll talk about it. But should we take a break, eat something?
Let's take a break.
You want to eat something? Like a bite?
Yes, please.
What is Discord?
So Discord, I don't even know how to describe it. So Discord became really popular. Discord's an app. It became really popular with gamers first. So if me and you are playing a game, not all games, me and you can't communicate from within the game necessarily. So it initially gained popularity because Discord has something called voice channels, where me and you can jump into a voice channel. So for example, here I'm on this server of a friend of mine who's a gamer, and he has different voice channels. One of which is called DJ, late night DJ, where you log in and there's just music going on there in the background. Someone's playing music. Yeah, someone's playing in the background, and multiple people can join, and people can just chill there. Or there are voice channels which are just blank. Also, this one is called Duo. And so only two people can be in this voice channel. So I can jump in, someone else can jump in, and the two of us can have a conversation. So if you create a Discord server, you can assign everyone privileges and roles based on which they can join different voice channels, they can join different text channels. So it became super easy to manage a community. So it became popular with gamers because when two people are playing a game, they hop on a voice channel and talk to each other while they play a game to make communication easy.
But why couldn't they do it on another?
What else existed at that point? You'd have to Skype call each other. This is before Zoom, huh? Phone call each other, like from the computer, like it didn't exist. Discord was the quickest way for two people to just jump onto a channel. So you've used Clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
So you know how on Clubhouse you could just hop onto one room and you instantly start talking to each other. So Discord was that much before Clubhouse.
But for two people.
But for as many people. So you can have 100 people together. And they became really popular because of this, and they kept adding features. So having your own Discord server became a thing amongst gamers. And eventually other creators also started having a Discord server. So I had a Discord server for the longest time.
When you say you had a Discord server, you hosted it somewhere.
On Discord, you can create your own page, so to say, which is called your server. And at one point, I had close to 500,000 people on my Discord server.
So they would listen to you play a game.
They wouldn't listen to me play a game. So even if I am not there, they can be part of the server. And I create multiple channels. Like I can create a channel called Meme, where people post memes. Then if I had 500,000 people on it, I would select like 10 mods. They're moderators.
So game is like an anchor, not the purpose why these
Not
guys
the
are there.
purpose, no. The purpose is for communities to hang out with one common purpose. So everybody who came onto my server knew that, we all know Tanmay and we all watch his videos, that's why we're all here. So I would create channels with specific purpose. I would create one channel which is memes about Tanmay.
Right.
So people would post memes there, which is specifically about me. So it's like a
WhatsApp group.
It's like a WhatsApp group, but with a lot more features. That's where so people do all kinds of fun things on Discord. People do karaoke nights. People do whatever.
And Twitch? What is Twitch?
So Twitch.
But also tell me this: are these guys going to be the future of social media in a manner?
So Discord is already immensely popular. It's a closed network. It's not. You have to be let into a server. Like some servers are open, some servers you have to be let in. Even if you're let into the server, there are different tiers. Like you can create, like, okay, if I had a server, I would give you guys a badge called VIPs. Okay, so you guys can access certain areas of the server that other people can't access. So it's a way to manage communities.
And I found it very complex.
It's very complex. That's the thing.
Very complex.
It's very complex.
Like I was overwhelmed by Discord to the extent.
It's a very Gen Z young person thing.
I got into it to look at NFTs and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is more, it was just lost.
So how do you look at NFTs on Discord?
I don't know how you look at it.
I mean, I was looking at certain creators
Who talk about
talk
NFTs.
about it, and then
On their channel.
on their
So
channel.
in Web3, having a lot of folks on your server is an indication of how active your community is. So when an NFT project is dropping, first they launch their own Discord server. And inside the Discord server, everyone goes logs in, and then they drop all the updates inside that. It's like almost like a gate saying if you're inside the Discord server, then you're special. You know you get the
Do you know how many users on Discord? Not too many, because it's a very niche.
How many?
No, it's not. There's millions and millions.
Globally, it's a good
It's massive. It's not small at all.
In India, I don't think.
India also, it's huge. It's massive. Yeah.
No, I don't see any public data around there.
Just look at how many users Discord has. It's huge. It's like 140 million people.
And I'm guessing mostly like Westerners, right? Americans and stuff.
Yeah. Just
I would guess India would be less than 5 million.
Yeah.
probably, yeah. From India would be less.
140 million means, I mean, if you look at any global platform, there are billions of users, right? Billion plus.
Correct.
So do people make money there? Were you making money there?
No, I wasn't making. It's mostly a way to manage your community. But how Discord makes money is you can do things called boost your server. You can
More discoverable.
Yeah, make it more discoverable. You can give, there are special features that you can unlock by paying Discord, etc., etc., etc.
And Twitch?
So Twitch has an interesting story, right? So Twitch was started by Justin Khan. It was first launched as Justin.tv, this guy called Justin Khan. It was Justin.tv. And his idea was, I'm just going to broadcast my life. So it was 24/7. His house was being broadcast live. It started gaining some traction until eventually Justin realized that, people want to watch live streaming. Live streaming is cool. Then he spun it off as Twitch, which was a live streaming only platform. And it was the first of its kind. So Twitch gained popularity because of it being the first player to have live streaming exclusive. It was unlike YouTube where you could host videos. Discord didn't have any of that earlier.
Is this before Periscope?
Much before. Discord, Twitch has been around for very, very long until eventually they sold to Amazon, and now Twitch is owned by Amazon. And so on Twitch, again, it's very gamified inside. If you're watching a live streamer, every second you're watching, you get points. You can gift subscriptions, which is there are some features that you only get if you're a subscriber. These subscriptions are $3 to $5 or whatever it is per month. So some cool features that Twitch has is, say I'm streaming and there's 1,000 people who are watching me. Anybody who has subscribed to my channel can gift anybody else who's watching my channel currently a subscription.
Right.
Then Amazon did stuff like there's Amazon Prime subscription, which is if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you automatically get subscribed to one.
Why are you not spending as much time on Discord, Twitch, etc. like you are on Twitter, YouTube, and stuff?
So Discord is a way to manage communities and not necessarily grow your distribution. It is you grow your distribution and then you bring all those people onto Discord, much like having your own Reddit subreddit. Right? So people have their own subreddits as well. So I have a subreddit as well. I personally, I shut down my Discord server for many reasons. One, when you have 500,000 people on it, it's just a lot of people talking to each other all the time. Imagine like at any given point, there were 10,000 kids who were talking to each other inside my Discord server. Like if a video dropped and they're all talking to each other.
But you don't plug in an ad in there or something like that?
No. It's just a way to manage communities.
So how do they make money, like as a service?
Discord makes money. Yeah, like there are special features you can unlock by pay.
Right.
So it's on a freemium model in that sense. So I don't spend as much time on Discord now. I spend time on it as a user. I'm part of different communities. But my own Discord server I shut down because there's so much activity, and with young people, if you just give them a free hand, and it's it's closed, right? Like it's not like Twitter where if you post something, anybody can see it. If you post something on Instagram, anybody can see it.
It's like closed WhatsApp.
It's like a closed WhatsApp group. So imagine the kind of freedom people would feel inside a closed WhatsApp group.
Were they abusing? Were they
All kinds of stuff. They were posting stuff that I would not want to be associated with. They were telling each other stuff that I wouldn't want to be associated with. They were pranking each other. We were doing all kinds of things that I didn't want to. I was like, this is too scary for me.
And you didn't want to moderate that.
I didn't want to moderate that, and I didn't trust the folks who.
How do you moderate
They're also
like
young.
so many people, 500,000 people?
You can't.
It's very tough.
If you get tools for it, like if you block out certain phrases, words, you'll have to build tools for it.
Yeah, but if you do that kind of stuff, then
His following will run.
Yeah, then
you're uncool. You're uncool. It's like, go on, Uncle Chala hai Discord. The whole point of Discord is it's a closed community where people can be themselves. Which is different, which is just a live streaming platform. But now YouTube has its own live streaming. YouTube started live streaming, and YouTube is like a slow moving ship, but when they ship features, they're really solid. Twitch has more features than YouTube. It's still in the Western world, it's still the go-to platform. Everybody's tried a live streaming platform. Microsoft tried it with Mixer. So they poached a bunch of big streamers from Twitch to go to Mixer. It didn't work out. Now there's a new streaming platform called Kick. Then everybody's going to. But YouTube streaming, to me, has the most potential, because YouTube you can do VOD and you can do live streaming at the same time. But to me, live streaming is a way to build community, because people get to touch and feel you in real time. People can send you a message and you can respond immediately, and it's like, imagine if you were watching Mahabharat with your family, and if your dad would super chat you this stuff on TV, right? Like it's that. It's like modern day VJs, but who you can touch.
It is interesting. Twitch gamified the whole experience nicely. Actually, the first live that I remember as a consumer was Facebook Live as a feature. This was way back in 2014.
14, yeah.
Right? Or 2015, actually, sorry. That was the first live. But there was no gamification. There was no subscription. There was no ability to tip the creator, gift it to the creator.
I think when a mammoth company tries a feature, they don't give enough into it to make it work. That's right.
Yeah, big ships new scene.
Yeah. So the thing is, social media, the success of social media platforms, I think, is very serendipitous. Like, uncontrollable forces have to act on it to make it successful. Like,
What are those forces?
like for us, in our journey, like just getting all the big guys onto Ko at once to talk in local languages and reach a different crowd. I mean, if we had to do it ourselves without an event making it happen, like Twitter got into trouble, if we had to make it happen, it would have taken another 5-10 years.
Was that a big impetus, Twitter getting into trouble?
Getting into the limelight, getting all of these guys active, they're still active, making sure, as in they're trying to connect with their followers every day in local languages. You can't make this happen. It takes a lot of money.
How do you make network effects happen easily?
Butterfly effects.
Very.
No, so yes,
You flap in different corners and you pray.
That's not what a butterfly effect is.
in a transaction company, it's easier. Like a taxi for sure. You had drivers, users, right? If you had to accelerate it, you have to give cheap rides to the users and compensate to the driver, and you take it off, right? In a social media network, it's not just two people, right? There's the user, advertiser, creator, government, everybody has to be happy at the same time. Everybody has to use it, right? So it's a multi-dimensional network that you're creating. Here, you cannot, program this initially. Once you take off, then you can add a little bit of math.
Right.
Okay, user, do a loyalty program, give them discounts for having used. Creator, help them monetize. These two are happy, and hence everybody else is happy. But so American social media works very well because they can really push down any product down the throat of the whole world at once. So their machinery to go global is stronger than anyone else.
Why is that?
Media, they can
Their own
in a
culture.
global story. Yeah.
Their own culture.
Do you think that's through entertainment or news? Like how do they own culture?
To be American is very high generally, right? American life, we've all seen Friends.
Like I'll give you an example. Say a really cool new social media company is open in SF right now. Before it scales, how do we get to hear about it?
Let's take Clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
How did you hear about Clubhouse?
Referral, somebody spoke about it.
Somebody spoke about it. I heard it because Elon Musk joined a Clubhouse.
So, yeah.
And then Mr. Beast joined.
So you think it's because we follow so many Americans on our social media that they're
Americans dominate culture.
see
Yeah, but the interesting dichotomy to this argument, if there's one platform that's redefining or defining culture in America, which is what is scaring shit out of them, is TikTok.
Correct.
And TikTok is now like literally breaking paradigms. Every kid uses it. Now you're seeing the forces at play to try and ban the app first on government phones. But that's an example of a company that came from the outside.
what is TikTok doing right that others aren't?
So, couple of things. One, it's probably got the most powerful creator tools on the planet. Two, it's probably got the most sophisticated content graph based algorithm. We use a similar algorithm, but I would say theirs is far deeper to understand video and contextually personalize it to the extent that two TikTok feeds look like no other. But they are so personal and they're so engaging to that individual. And three, I think what it's now built on top of this is this insane commerce-based monetization engine, where small businesses are hosting stores, commerce is taken off. Today, Douyin is driving 7% of all commerce in China. Douyin is the Chinese name for TikTok in China, right? First, it was cringy. TikTok was cringy. Nobody went on it. Now it's suddenly cool to be on it. All the friends that I know in the US have bought something on TikTok.
Must also sound cool that some countries are banning it, right? That automatically makes anything cool.
Try that effect.
So I think TikTok, just got there's TikTok should have never started in China. It should have started in India. As in the original idea.
Why is that?
Boss, we are the Bollywood guys. Like, TikTok is dubbing, right? So I call short video apps micro nano Bollywood.
So I call that category escapism, right? It's just time pass, having fun.
So 3-hour Bollywood movie, Shah Rukh Khan, only Shah Rukh Khan can
hold that.
hold that 3 hours.
We spoke about this last time. Tanmay disagreed.
What?
That not necessarily you need a Shah Rukh Khan to hold an audience for 3 hours.
Yeah. No, but what you're saying, which is TikTok is Bollywood, I think TikTok in every country is a reflection of the culture of their country. So our TikTok is very Bollywood and very filmy and very and the most popular ones are like the content that they do is, either it's like boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, social inequality stuff,
On local comedy.
local comedy, something about strong identity-based content, either religious identity or nationalistic identity, which is very us.
See, the other thing, I think the format worked because I think the attention span, how many people, there are lean forward experiences and lean back experiences. Lean back experiences is like when you're watching a movie. Lean forward is when you're just swiping and scrolling, right? This kind of gave you that entertainment gratification in 20 seconds and then allowed you to move on.
Are they longer videos now or is it
Now it's gone up to a minute.
still a minute maximum?
I believe TikTok, I'm trying to recollect if they moved to 10 minutes. I read an article.
So nothing really educational like YouTube on TikTok.
No, there is
There is
an
educational
education section,
Right.
Yeah.
In India, they tried EduTalk for twice, so it didn't take off.
Did it take off a lot before it got banned and hence it got banned?
It
It did.
did
Very fast.
Must have, right?
So if you think about it, they launched in 2018 in India. They burnt to the tune of $60 million a month to $70 million a month
India.
in India. They were it's public data, so I can say this. They were Facebook's largest advertiser around the world for 2 or 3 years. They spent so the Chinese machinery is burn a lot of money on marketing. Of course, they've got the tech and the product built out before they do that. So they almost burnt $1 billion, $2 billion a year on marketing. A bulk of it was in India because India had the largest user base. That when they exited, 240 million monthly active users, right? Almost 50 minutes of time spent per user per day. That was very Bollywood filmy content.
Can I also ask how much time is spent on which platform a day? Like how much do Indians spend on Instagram, on Facebook?
YouTube is the highest.
YouTube exists
60 plus minutes.
Instagram 35.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram is about 30.
And Facebook 30.
And then everything else is like, like Twitter would be like 15.
When everybody, like the research I did like last night when I was watching videos about what people are hypothesizing the future of social media to be, everybody seems to be saying we are moving from text bar images to video in one form or another. What makes video so much more engaging, and especially from your perspective at Coup, because it's more text oriented, I'm assuming, how do you kind of cope with that?
So, content format is not the way to define future or past, right? Each use case defines what content format. Instagram basically gave you a filter in your hand, and that made prettier photos, and hence it became lifestyle as a network. Right? So what's the chicken and egg? You never know. Like, photo was the thing. Videos work in entertainment, some education, long form. But in terms of opinions and thoughts, unless it's like the biggest opinion maker and thought leader talking to you, you're not going to sit and watch a common man's video. Right? So if it's thoughts and opinions, I think a multimedia approach works better, which is what...
But you can do that too, right? You can upload videos on Coup, right?
So multimedia works. The big guys will do video and that will be attractive. The common guy putting out text and saying something will still... And text can't be replaced that easily. Like the quick glance that you do when you're scrolling content is not available. You have to commit in audio and video. But in text you don't. And the Instagram founders have founded a new app, right? And that's all text.
It's a new news as TikTok.
I cringed when I saw that.
What is it called?
The frickin' UX
Bad?
is cut, copy, paste of
Instagram.
Daily Hunt. It is the Daily Hunt of what they've launched, right? But so I kind of am totally with what Apu was saying, because in Daily Hunt we are 70% text and images, it's only 30% video, right? And for the
Are you seeing that number change though? Are you more video every few months?
That's the context.
So the context for news is people do want to read.
Right.
Of course, now youngsters don't want to read too long. They want short form, for which we launched Espresso, right? So there is that use case. However, everyone, media pundits, future soothsayers, VCs, investors, everyone says it's video. And yes, I would say the growth of Josh for us versus the growth of Daily Hunt, Josh has been chalk and cheese. By the way, the cost spent on that is also chalk and cheese, right? In terms of what the two platforms relatively...
Is that a big cost for you guys? The cost of hosting the data? So if you're allowing someone to post a video,
It's huge.
will it from an infra standpoint cost you a lot more and your margins are lower?
Like we have more text than photo than video, but it's still, so because we're a social network, for the same number of users on a transaction network, we're way higher on tech cost spend. Just because you have to store so much. Like, okay, a person on Coup who has 10 million followers, you have to remember, and if that person is active, you have to remember all 10 million. In the 10 million, you have to know who's active, who's not. As soon as they open the app, you have to,
Right.
So the compute that is just involved in all of this is just huge.
Right.
So hence the tech cost goes up. And of course, with just plain video like a Josh app and all, I think it's
Crazy. So imagine if you shoot a video right now and you're
Yeah, he was just saying 600 GB of data this video.
Just imagine. So you can shoot this video in 4K, right? Your iPhone 14 Pro, movie makers are now making it to shoot movies, right? So imagine you're shooting in 4K, but Tanmay is on the road on an old Android phone on a 3G network, watching that video on Josh. I suddenly have to transcode it from 4K to maybe 512p or lower. And there has to be a dynamic bitrate.
What is this tech cost for a company like Josh? Out of the $100 that you spend, how much goes towards this?
So on Josh itself, if I'm spending $100, I would say about 20 to $30.
Most of it is hosting.
Hosting, transcoding, storage, compute, and AI, the AI data pipeline.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's not that high on Daily Hunt,
Right.
right? Daily Hunt is more like 10,
Text.
$12.
Because it's text.
Text heavy, optimized over time. This grew much faster.
Yes.
There's lesser transcoding requirements. You don't need to serve video every 20 seconds. Network lag, all of that, right? So it's a much higher cost.
So a lot of people, I think, take issue to the fact that whatever is put up on social media is embellishment in one form or another. Nobody's true life is getting depicted, but a fantasy version of a snapshot of their life. And human subconscious will generally misconstrue to think that other person's life is like that, compare, and feel like about it, right? Like they'll feel about the comparison. If we had to like kind of filter, gauge, judge, put different platforms in a ladder, which platform do you think makes you feel worst?
Instagram.
Instagram?
Twitter, Instagram.
The same example that I gave
which
you for
first?
driver. Instagram #1.
Instagram #1, then followed by
Twitter.
Twitter makes you feel like
Because of opinions.
Twitter makes you feel like because of that negative feedback loop, right? Because people constantly
People constantly. It's very, very high opinion. Now, actually, the Twitter algorithm has changed in the last 2-3 years, where there's now people you follow and there's a for you,
Yeah.
which is what Twitter serves to you. So
That's only what Elon Musk says.
that's only what Elon said. But that I realized that the for you segment kind of has made my Twitter feed a echo chamber of that I at least at one point thought I wanted to see. Like it's just startup now on my timeline. It's just
Do you even read it anymore?
no, I just scroll.
Right.
It's like have you guys ever done this where you open Instagram, you close it, then 5 seconds later you open it again.
Yeah. When you did read it, was there ever any original thought, anything you could gauge about your audience you wouldn't have figured out otherwise?
When I read Twitter,
When you read all the comments and everything?
on Twitter,
Any platform.
Twitter is like comments are there. See,
Twitter is still a very elitist platform. Twitter is very elitist. 5 million people in the country, boss. 5 or 10, what is that number? You'll have it. 5 million, right?
And a lot of the comments are like fake and
Fake. And so the thing is that depends on the culture of the platform, right? Like it's a culture. On Twitter, if you go and say anything, out of 10 comments, you will have 6 negative and 4 positive.
right.
On Facebook, you'll have 9 positive, 1 negative. On Instagram, you won't have that many comments, but you're like,
All your likes and hearts are all.
yeah.
on Instagram, it's also the way the feed is designed, right? On Twitter, there's a button for your mentions, right? I don't see all my Instagram comments,
Right.
right? Because if to press comment, I have to scroll through 100. On Twitter, it's a separate button. So if there are 3 buttons here, I'm likely to press the middle button to see what people are seeing.
But to your point, the new platform for Be Real.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you guys seen Be Real?
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I don't know whether people really want to see the other person
I
being
think
real
you
either.
should take a minute to tell what Be Real is.
Be Real is an app where it just randomly asks you to take a picture or a snapshot of whatever you're doing at any point in time as a surprise, and you just post it and your followers will see what you're really about.
Right.
Any trend that becomes really popular creates a marketplace for the contrary. So Be Real is a response to Instagram stories.
But I think that's a fad, and nobody really wants to go and see people being real in the long run. No, it's not fun.
If we were to agree that okay, Instagram makes people feel like shit, Why are people still spending so much time on it? What is...
It's a fantasy world. I want to be like that. It makes me feel. It is the world we live in.
Right.
Every successful person makes me feel like in general. But I still want to be like that, and I still want to see what they're doing. And
You know, misery is addictive. Yeah, ever been in a relationship that you should have gotten out of, should have gotten out earlier, but you're just like, oh, I'm addicted to this drama now.
Are you in a relationship then?
I am not.
When was the last one?
What is this after the social media? Can you tell me, Nikhil Kamath?
And you hooked up on social media.
Through why social media?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
My God.
I once made out with someone inside Instagram.
How did you do that?
What is hooked up through social media? What does that even mean? Like, met people through social media, yeah. Why all of you so interested in my dating life? It's fascinating. Every 15 minutes of this podcast, we come back to...
Hey, that's interesting. What is the role of envy in social media? How much of social media is fed by envy?
Huge.
Dude, envy is the fuel for social media, and it acts out in different ways, right? For example, I think a lot of whiny folks who are on Twitter, a lot of it is just envy, right? Like I think the hate for influencers and celebs is largely envy. Like it's
Give us the categorization of envy. What will make people envy you the most? Is it how many followers you have? Is it your lifestyle, how it has changed because of the following? Is
I mean,
it...
everybody envies different aspects of people's lives, right? But like, if I were to sit and bitch about Elon Musk, but if you ask me a question saying, would you like to be Elon Musk? The answer is 99 out of 100 people would be like, yes, yeah, I'd love to be Elon Musk, at least for like a week, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of negative energy, I think, comes out of envy. I feel whenever I see people going out of the way to be negative, to be in comments, it's mostly like, okay, this person is clearly having a day, and the act of opening an app and seeing what you post voluntarily and then commenting publicly about something you is usually a reflection of them not having a good day.
It's also a sense of community, right? Because they kind of collaborate with other people who are saying about you, and they feel like they're part of something.
Yeah. It's like
weird,
no, if someone says something shitty to you and 15 other people get to feel the same way but just liking it.
Right.
Right. They don't even want to go through the effort.
But that's dopamine too, right?
That's dopamine. I mean, the person who's liking it is not getting the dopamine, but the person who made the comment is getting the likes, is feeling it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So sometimes if I go to a popular creator's page and make a joke or be cheeky or say something negative, I know that there are many other people who are envious, much like me, and saying something negative is gonna get likes. Like if you look at any of Elon's tweets, right? Like Elon tweets, and then the first 4 tweets on that are people trying to dunk on him. People quoting Elon to dunk on him in the hope that other people retweet it.
What do you think he goes through?
This is called cloud farming.
Yeah.
Right? This is the word that's like cool amongst young people. Cloud farming.
Cloud.
Farming is literally like to hal chala ke uga raha hai. It's like, oh, you're farming for clouds.
So what do you think
Cloud.
Elon is going through? If you had to like vicariously think like him, like why do you think he tweets as much? Is it because it's working for him?
He's got so I don't think he has a marketing team for Tesla or SpaceX or now Twitter
Or the boring company?
He is the marketing. He is the marketing. If he thinks something, all of us know it. And how powerful is that? How many people have that?
I think this is the most powerful tool there is out there, right? Like media, social media, news media, print media, all of it. But I think the money is kind of got drained from most traditional media outlets. So it'll be interesting to watch what changes in the future. If I had to like put you guys on the spot and ask you for one line, what do you think will change in media, bars, social media in the next 10 years? And pick one company. If you were to start afresh, you would invest in, which one would it be?
I think So, in the world of thoughts and opinions, so just like in the world of TikTok,
You can't say Koo, you can't say Joshin Dilian.
I won't say it, but this is what I kind of know deeper, so I'm sticking to thoughts and opinions. But in the world of short video, anybody who felt like Shah Rukh Khan or whichever cultural big guy for short video in that country, TikTok made that happen. Thought leader in the world of thoughts and opinions, an app that will make anybody feel like, they're the biggest, news anchor, journalist, blah, and being able to portray themselves like a Ravish Kumar or an Arnab Goswami or whoever sitting at home, belting out interviews, belting out their own thoughts and opinions, but look professional. Isn't that kind of experience, I think, will go a long way.
Pick a company which is investable in a certain way, private or public.
I would social media, right?
I mean, you can say print or traditional media, but I don't think you
I
will.
wouldn't invest in traditional media anymore. I think democratization of the superhero won't exist for too long. I think decentralized superheroes is the way to go, whether you take entertainment or sports or news or whatever it is. So these are the things. Nobody is really doing it. Everybody is already famous. I think Snap is a good.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Why?
I think they really went on disappearing pictures, ephemeral content, and juiced it out. Like if I were to go back in time and invest in when
But
they were
Snap
just-
of today, no.
no, not a replica of.
But today, like, just compare.
So I have an idea. If somebody does it, I'll invest in. So what's cool for youngsters is to feel like the adults don't understand what I'm saying, what I'm doing, why I'm famous, all of those things. So I have an idea where if you create an app for youngsters to come and actually type what they want in English or whatever language they want, but publicly it goes as gibberish, right? But only people on that app get to know what they've said in English.
You mean they have a language of their own?
Yeah. To the public, to the outside world, it's like Aprameya has 1 million likes, but adults of the world don't know what.
I resonate with that. I remember doing this as a kid when we would add the letter fa in between every word or pa in between.
C language.
You mean something like that, right?
Yeah, but this is computer generated gibberish.
Right.
So you will be super curious what that 14-year-old or 15-year-old said that got 1 million likes amongst them. That's right.
It's like when people DM a meme to you, but the page is private.
Ah.
So you're forced to like.
So you don't know, but they know.
Interesting idea.
Interesting idea. And kids might do it just because of that.
Yeah.
Speak of that. Yeah.
So this is an idea. It will become big, but I don't have bandwidth to do it. But if somebody does it, I'll invest.
Nice. Tanmay, same question.
I think verticalization of social platforms is something that I would keep an eye out for.
Explain that.
Like
LinkedIn is social, but it's for a very specific purpose.
TikTok is social, but for a very specific purpose. So I wouldn't be surprised if social platform. I mean, Be Real also is for a very specific purpose. So specific purpose-driven social media platforms.
And how specific do you think you'll get? Will it become like Netflix we were talking about? When you're watching a movie, you chat with people who are watching the movie?
Yeah, so that would be a very specific purpose for which which is consumption of content. YouTube is kind of that already. That I think is, because I think there's no one platform serves all. That time is gone.
I think the way to pick it is if you take a horizontal guide and say what's the most active community there, and then if you can pick that and put it into a social media.
Like just sports right now would be interesting because I'm interested in, cricket, basketball, esports, that five, six different ones. So that'd be interesting. So I think the days of one platform serves all is probably like stuff because think about it, right? Like when you join a Twitter, it's so difficult for you to, like Twitter has this problem, which is someone joins and they immediately leave because either what's on their feed is not immediately attacking to them. It doesn't make them want to contribute. Like what is the ratio called, which is viewer to creator.
Yeah, monthly active, Mac to mouth.
Mac to mouth.
They have the least.
Twitter has the least, right?
That's the least.
TikTok has the most, right? So I think that's why I say verticalization. That I think is, and I don't know. I mean, I'm very bullish on YouTube, but I don't know about the Google stock.
I think so too. I actually resonate with that. I think the amount of learning, if nothing else, that's happening on YouTube. It's
YouTube launching YouTube Learn, by the way.
Yeah.
And YouTube podcasts also. They have feed podcasts.
The scale of that is becoming incredible. Like I consume as much information from YouTube as I do from books.
Yeah, you were saying why do people enjoy video more than text, right? It's like, imagine if every day. No, it's like, have you read Lord of the Rings or have you seen the movie? It's that. It's visually more appealing. If there was a seamless way for someone to turn a great book make it into a 3-hour documentary, I would love that. Right?
I think Lex has started doing that. Lex Friedman.
He started doing this?
Yeah.
Turning books into
Podcasts.
podcasts.
I was watching his Animal Farm thing.
Got it. Oh yeah, he tweeted about this as well. That would be great.
Dude, I think AI will start making movies out of.
But you never get the thing I've realized with applications like this. I tried that Blinkist. What is that thing? Which summer?
Blinkist.
Yeah.
The summary.
Like
It's not the same.
it's not the same at all. Even Lex's one interpretation of Animal Farm. Like I'd read the book earlier. It's probably better by a magnitude of a lot. Actually reading the book.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because so much of the joy of reading a book is while you're reading it, the thoughts that are going on as a screensaver of your brain, right? Because your life's context is being matched with what's being said.
And you can't pause a video like you can pause reading a book.
It's right there.
Yeah.
You can just press that.
I know, but it's not the same thing, you know? Yeah. But it doesn't feel like the same thing. Like you can sit here on a thought for like 10 minutes, but if you're watching a video, you're like kind of like, you know, I'm lying down watching a video. I'm not going to like pause.
I love that YouTube feature though. Just the double tap to go back 15 seconds. And like sometimes I'm in a conversation and I want to double tap the person. Like, can you move 15 seconds ahead?
Sometimes my brain is dead. And I'm watching the same video. Like I'm going back 5 minutes, going back 5 minutes, going back 5 minutes. I do that like 10 times.
Yeah, see.
Right?
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the longest video, I'm like, I zoned out. I started something, I'm going to go back.
I zone out a lot more now than I used to. I don't know if it's the content or it's me.
No. You're used to short videos.
You think that's it?
Yeah, that's the future, dude.
Short videos?
That's my view.
Yeah, that's why you need a clips channel for this one.
So if you had to invest in a company?
Yeah, I think
Google. Alphabet.
I like Google. But yeah, is ByteDance listed?
Yeah.
No.
Is it?
Not yet, right? And I invest in ByteDance.
ByteDance would list in which country? But that's not really a listing either, right?
Yeah, Google. But you know, in Satya we trust, I would probably also I also invest in Microsoft.
Yeah.
I mean,
But they don't have anything social.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
By the way, I heard so many positive reinforcement stories about Satya over the last weekend.
Oh, you went Bill Gates, right? Dude, how was that?
So I met him for dinner on Friday and breakfast for Saturday. And breakfast was alone and he sat. So I always have questions. So I had a bunch of questions for him. Some very interesting answers. The one thing, there are many things, but one of the things that we were talking about is everybody has been talking about climate change for as long as we have. We all estimated world peak population at one point to be 15 billion, at another point to be 12 billion. I think we are getting to that point where world population will quickly start to decline. So I was asking him, do you think with this trend and these trends generally get exaggerated very quickly. Do you think it makes sense to focus on mitigating climate change today as much as it did a few years ago because of the demographic change in the world? And he personally has like a bunch of tiers in which he puts in his money. Health, I think, is foremost for him. Then he has breakthrough energy. So then I was asking him the exact same question I'm asking you guys. I said, if you were to start over in life and you had $100 million, what energy would you personally invest in? Which energy company would you personally invest in? Would you go renewables? Would you go solar? Would you go wind? Would you go fission, fusion? So he said out of the 16 fission companies, nuclear, he probably is invested in about 4 or 5 of them, and he bet on fission. But the incredible thing about him is the eclectic nature of his knowledge. You know, you can go from talking vaccine to talking climate to talking energy to talking everything. And when it came to energy, his reasoning was India has sun, but the world hasn't really cracked storage technology for this electricity which we generate during the day but utilize a lot of during the night. We still have very inefficient transmission. We still lose something like 40-50% of the electricity that we generate from the point it's generated to the point of consumption. India is not geographically well situated for wind. So he was kind of like, I think he doesn't say much directly, but I think he was talking a lot about nuclear. Are there investable opportunities in there? Yeah, but for some reason the world has taken a U-turn on nuclear in the last few years. People have different angles with how they approach answering why that has happened. But I think the most logical answer amongst many answers is the nuclear facilities we had were quite outdated, and instead of putting in that much more money to kind of renovate and start afresh, I think people are picking other means. But very interesting conversations, incredibly smart individual. And
What did you eat for dinner?
the previous night dinner, there were a bunch of people. Just like some sandwich and something. I asked him what supplements he's on, and he was talking. I can't remember what name he took, but he doesn't supplement himself with that much apparently. But I was driving back from this thing, and me and Nitin were sitting in the car, and we were just talking to each other about how people like this function, right? Like breakfast was at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever, and we were in our tiny bubbles, kind of like not complaining, but we were kind of like, oh, we had to wake up at 8 a.m. on a weekend. That's the only day we get to sleep and all of that. But then you equate that to somebody like him, who's double our age. He had been to maybe 15 meetings in that one weekend window. He had traveled to 3 cities. He had met us for dinner, had similar conversations, and at breakfast, he was again doing it with so much, it's incredible, Some people I feel are really, really driven in life, and I don't think that comes from a external incentive per se, but I think they're innately very driven. I've met luckily a few people like that. I know I'm not like that. I feel like it's nice to at least see people like that.
Man, whoever bullied Bill Gates as a kid.
Poor guy.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, probably, right. Question to you, same. Which company to invest in?
Which company to invest in?
First, future of social media in the next decade.
I think, you covered it, but I wouldn't invest in traditional media. If I'm in India, I think connected TVs are going to be a big opportunity.
Connected TVs.
It's interesting, there are only 200 million TVs in the country. TVs will move away from broadcast. they will move to IP. So it's basically going to become like a phone, right? They're going to be apps. It's going to be a bigger screen. It's going to be better for lean back experiences. If you look at the data you tweeted the other day in terms of the number of individuals that are going to move into the greater than $40,000 annual income, that data in the next 10 years is going to grow 10x, right? The number of people. The first thing that people do as a sign of aspiration is, interestingly, buy a TV and then a fridge, right? Or a fridge and a TV, whichever order. And then move to a car and, whatever. So I think that as a commodity, that's going to grow. So I think it's an interesting space. I wouldn't invest in TV anywhere in the world. But I think over the next 10 years, print will die, in my view, in its current shape and form. But I think that's an interesting space in the traditional space, which will morph into digital. But I think there's a journey to cover there. The future of social media, again, I tend to agree with you, is going to be extremely verticalized. I personally, if I had to invest in one company, I would say from a tech and a growth and everything, and the space in the category, it is short video. I would do it in myself, but other than that, I'd love to say ByteDance and TikTok. I'm only conflicted because they're Chinese and I have to be strict about it. But otherwise, I think there are...
Who else, if not ByteDance? Is anybody else doing short video well at scale?
Reels.
Huh?
Reels is doing
Insta Reels?
very, very small in comparison.
Compared to TikTok.
Do you think these companies will remain as relevant as they are now 5 years from now?
I don't think so.
I mean, something else could come along that could be disruptive, but
I mean, if you think about the headies of tech, and it's interesting that you mentioned Bill Gates. I started my career in '99. At that time, there were two camps. You had to choose one. There was the Microsoft camp and there was the Java camp, right? And all the cool kids went to the Java camp. All the boring guys went into the Microsoft camp.
Can I add something before I forget? He said the biggest opportunity he missed is losing the operating system to Android.
Totally.
yeah, for mobile, like
He tried and he totally lost it, right? So if you think about it, he owned desktop computing.
and it makes sense for him to
Right.
Yeah.
Server-side computing, he lost on the big scale of it when it was all Unix-based systems, and that's what gave rise to Sun Microsystems, right? At one point of time, it was the coolest company to work for in the Valley, right, in the heydays. And when I was at Sun, we were trained to hate Microsoft. But if you think of what Microsoft eventually did with its blades and its back-end compute and moved to the server side, it made that entire beast redundant, right? So this biggest loss is there are only X number of PCs in the world.
I don't think they're monetizing it yet, but I think that's an extremely invaluable piece of tech. Android.
They are not monetizing it. I mean, it doesn't cost anything, but
Of course they're monetizing it.
when Play Store.
No, they're monetizing it in so many ways.
Dude, every rupee raised is 40% goes
More.
Yeah.
More. I would say 60% goes into Google and Facebook. And
You pay
another
30%, no? You said your tech costs 30.
advertising and then cloud, which is Google
But
Cloud.
tell me this, why not, as a new startup, why not look for another means of advertising? Why stick to Facebook?
It's the fastest, efficient way.
Really?
There's no one's on. Everyone's on it. That's why you don't advertise somewhere that no one's on.
So the issue is that the number of data points that they have, when you think about Google, they own Android. They preload their apps. They own the -1 screen. They own the browser. They own search. They own GDN, which is all the display networks of ads that you get on all third-party platforms. They own the network. They own YouTube, right? If you look at Facebook, between Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, they own a lot of contact points. So the amount of data that they have, it's the fastest way. And of course, our business is advertising, and we serve a very distinctly unique audience. But even then, at certain parameters, we would not have that level of data.
Nikhil can't relate because they didn't have to do any of this, which is amazing.
No, so the way to break it is to actually create a very addictive platform for India.
Yeah.
And that addictive platform then takes on, like you
You're
do
telling
with
this to the
TikTok.
founder of Zerodha.
Or two things: ban Google and Facebook. Let's talk about it, right?
Can I give you like a very digressive thought? You know why the industrial revolution happened in UK? In Birmingham it started when it happened. Because they closed down their economy because foreign products were more competitive than them for a certain period of time, incentivized local. And to a certain extent, I think China has done that by creating their own versions of everything.
So if you think about it, there are three of those companies are $3 trillion companies, right? And so you cut these two guys out and straight away you see a change, right? Because you've come in with a dominant force which was built in.
But modern capitalistic notions, which are then again predicated on what the West has told us, says that being open in the manner that they are is as important as it.
It's in their interest, not ours.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in their interest.
So would you actually say it is...
Ban it. If you have the when you become the chief of the country,
It's that's a win and not an if.
I'm going to be the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant of the chief of the country and be very, very happy with that job.
Well, it's the easiest way. I think
But
we just need
net.
2 or 3 years.
You think?
Tech.
You think closing down a market, when you ban them, you also stop, like what they're doing to China now, right? They're not giving them chip technology. They will stop us from getting cutting edge research as well. With those constraints in mind, do you think?
We have a futurist, as in the future is ours, right? The population, as a country, we're getting better. Everybody will have more money. They're all drained out. As in, we have population as our biggest motive.
Bro, I'm dreading imagining 5 days without moving already.
Yeah.
Fucking a new alternative better show up.
How will you find any information?
Oh my god, new alternative better show up quickly.
I don't use Chrome as a browser, you know.
Oh really? What do you use? Safari?
I'm so clear. I don't touch. So I don't use YouTube. Interesting, right?
There's that other Web3 one, right? No, there's DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Then there's a Brave browser as well. Yeah.
But the experience is not the same. I get that.
Safari is nice.
Yeah.
Safari is good. Yeah.
A lot of what I read about social media usage and a lot of people who seem more knowledgeable than I in this space. I think the correlation between depression, the correlation between if insecurity were a metric, let me say that, all of that I think is pretty clear that being on social media to a certain extent is not good for our mental well-being.
Of course.
Right? You guys own social media platforms. He's the largest social media influencer. How do you, can I call it like an ethical conundrum? Like, how does that make you feel? And I know this is a tough question to answer. So,
My question is, 94% of all traders use money.
I was about to say that.
So I would like to know, how do you sleep at night?
I was about to say that I didn't I didn't course correct while I was saying. I should have prefaced with that.
I think that
True, but that's a fair question. The thing is, when people come to the stock markets to trade, there are 4 or 5 things they do incorrectly, which causes the odds of them losing money to go up incrementally. If you did simple things, like the simplest thing is to buy the Nifty or buy 5 large cap companies. If you did that at any point of time in the last 30, 40 years and you did not touch it, you would have done very, very well. And you have that big gap in taxation. I think people don't realize how big that gap is. Like, if you invest in stocks and you pay 10% long-term capital gain tax versus earning in a business or a partnership or a corporate or whatever structure and paying 30, 40%, just that arbitrage in taxation, right? Compounded wealth 20, 30 years down the line is incredible. So the opportunity is there, but even this has many issues like social media does. And I think the onus is on the, can I call us an intermediary of some sort? I think the onus is on the intermediary to educate rightly the ones who are suffering the most. Hence, we vocally keep saying, these are the numbers.
Well answered.
Yeah?
Very sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp one.
Good answer.
I'll try not to talk this.
I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would bring it up now during our social media podcast.
That's one that shouldn't be edited. Should remain.
Good answer.
No, I think that there's a larger point to the problem, right? One is all mental health, depression, everything else. The other is the impact on kids, right? I'll start by saying that I'll come to how we deal with it, but I'll start by saying that there are lots of perils in society. There are bad actors in the physical world. Likewise, those bad actors exist on the digital world, right? There are live rapes that are conducted. There is live murders that have happened. There are live suicides that have happened. I have had the unfortunate this thing of even seeing some of this, right? What it casts on our children is crazy, right? So the impact that it could cause on children is deeply negative, right? Very, very deeply negative, from, the aspiration side to body shaming to how they mentally feel about themselves to everything else out there, right? So I think most social media platforms around the world have always said that we're the intermediary and we're not responsible for what's going on in the content on the platform. I think India has just passed an interesting regulation, which is making intermediaries accountable, right? And I think, and I'm not here to praise the government in any way, but I think it's the right thing to do. At our end, what we ensure is a whole bunch of things around the platform being family safe, child safe, weeding out a lot of on soft animal, all kinds of stuff that comes onto the platform. Right? Trust me, in child, like, it's crazy. It's just mad, the amount of it that comes. You've got to use AI and tech to do that because, the human layer cannot do it. Live is another hugely risky proposition. We've launched live tipping for creators, but you've got to have AI tools and human moderation to cut it in real time. Things which are hard to do is hate speech and anything like that in that realm, because AI really can't weave it. So what we do is we observe that if a certain video or a certain piece of content reaches a certain velocity in a certain period of time, we look at it for manual moderation. If it breaks the next threshold, another guy looks at it. And then we're waiting to see, is it illicit? Is it enticing? Is it hate speech? Is it, communal in nature? And then we bring it down. But I think in the last 5 years of doing this, we haven't had any massive issue. Otherwise, you'd have read about it, right? So I think the tools are working. And because we're preloaded on all these phones, we have to keep the app family safe. So you can spend hours on the platform. You won't find racy, raunchy content. So I would pride that we've done it the right way. Lots to do still because, hackers are smart and, people want to game the system will do it. But I think it's a real problem. And on one side, I do feel that companies need to step up and take responsibility.
Would you allow, if you had to block your kids from one particular platform and say that no way are you allowed to touch this, which one would it be?
It's extreme because, by the way, you can find a lot of illicit content on YouTube. YouTube, as you go deeper and deeper, can take you down a rabbit hole of various sorts without getting into details. Instagram has a lot of nonsense, so does Twitter. Yeah. Right?
Which one's the worst? For anybody watching, if they want to if their child goes up to them and says, "Mummy, Daddy, tell me one platform I should not touch," what should they say?
I think the entire phone.
Do you give your daughter a phone? No, she's too young.
She's too young. But what I think is happening is our parents' lifetime is, last generation's lifetime is being lived out in 1 year, 2 years. So the amount of experiences and information and everything, we're oversupplied with it. And hence the depression that would have lasted, like sadness that would have lasted, over 5 years, 2 episodes of sadness is now like in few months, 5 episodes of sadness. Right now, we weren't ever programmed to go through so much, either happiness or sadness, so much, right? So the pace at which we're, consuming content and being connected, all of that is just insane, right?
I think moderation is the answer. I don't think preventing them from going anywhere, because there's some great stuff that you can learn.
And what is the number, moderation?
I think if I was a parent,
30 minutes?
I'd say an hour a day max.
I don't think it's a time thing. I think if you have access to what they're looking at, that should be enough. Because like there's a 12-year-old kid who's amazing at coding. Right? All he does is look up coding videos. Would you be like, just around it? No. If like, okay, as long as you know what they're looking at, I think.
It's a fair point.
There must be some good filtering software.
Sure, they exist, which is if I just know the YouTube history of whatever rather.
So what I've done is, and this happened with my kid, she's 12 now, but when she was 10, when she was browsing videos on YouTube, something came up that she shouldn't have seen. And my wife and I had to talk it out with her. So it was a hard moment, but I think it was a teachable moment, where she understood. As kids grow up, you teach them about good touch and bad touch, right? In the same way, I think you need to educate them about the perils that exist. Because without getting into details, like there are zillions of pedophiles out there, right? Online. There's tons of madness that happens. So you have to be, if you have educating your children around touch, around sexual education, I think this is now a new chapter in that book that needs to get added. And so we do monitor. So what we've done is, she's now 12, she has a phone, but they're all linked to my ID. So I know where she's going, I know what she's browsing, I know what she's seeing. It's all in all the logins from the browser to the accounts on mine. And at school, she needs to have an email ID, and I have that password. So,
But can we just postpone this stand-in war of phones with the 18 minutes? Is that?
I'd love to. But the other thing is,
Security
it's a security thing. So if she's in the school bus and something happens, of course, the teacher there has a phone. You could argue it that way. But
It could just be a only call that watch.
I wish it was possible, but the exposure that they all have.
Yeah. She's what, 7 now? 6?
My daughter, 6.5.
Absolutely.
It's also a social circle thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Umang has given us something usable for the last 30 seconds.
That's it.
All right.
Okay, thank you all for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nikhil. Thank you for watching the podcast. Let us know who your favorite guest has been and who you'd like to watch next. Thank you.